Chapter 479. Essence would evolve into quintessence. A strand of quintessence would be able to block 10 times more essence. As long as one became a martial monarch, one would be able to execute a quintessence shield. Even if one's essence cultivation was heaven-defying, one would not be able to break through it. It was like the difference between a wooden sword and a steel shield. No matter how thick and long a wooden sword was, how could it break a steel shield? Wood was wood, hardness was hardness. This was the difference between essence and quintessence. However, the strange light of the ancient desolate tower gave Shao Qin an opportunity. As long as he continued to advance and surpass others, he would leave everyone behind. He would reach a height that no one could match. In terms of cultivation, not only would he catch up to the peak geniuses of the same generation, but it would also give him a chance to surpass them. The test of the third floor was as Shao Qin had guessed. The tombstones, coffins, and tombstones all represented death. Shao Qin would have to face the test of death. The feeling of his heart stopping, his breathing stopping, and the pressure of death slowly pressed down on him. With the addition of the sarcophagus, it gave people the feeling that they were there. In other words, it was a real death. How to overcome fear was the key to clearing the third floor. Fortunately, Shao Qin had a strong will. His desire for the ancient desolate tower was higher than anyone else's. Shao Qin knew that his cultivation was weak. If he wanted to catch up, climbing the ancient desolate tower was his only chance to do so. As long as he could overcome the fear of death, he would be able to break through the test and make a breakthrough. Recollecting his thoughts, Shao Qin stopped thinking about his experiences in the third floor. There was nothing much to think about when death approached him step by step. Shao Qin started to look around the fourth floor. The fourth floor was rather spacious, and the walls did not look any different. Ancient scrolls floated in the air. When the scrolls unfurled, they depicted various dangerous places in the world. This is the Scarlet Blood Flame Prison, the 10,000 Poison Ice Cave, the 10 Layers of Purgatory, the Deep Sea Battlefield, the Ink Forest. When Shao Qin saw the scenes depicted in the scrolls, his expression slowly changed. It looked like this floor truly tested a cultivator's combat prowess. Hu Qi, Ding Fengqiu, Jiang Zimo, Xia Xian, Zuemo, Mu Xinya, Chu Chaoyun, and Chu Mu appeared on the ground. The test of death on the third floor had eliminated most of the cultivators with weak wills. Now, there were only 8 people left, including Shao Qin. Suddenly, Ding Fengqiu's body paused. He looked at Shao Qin and exclaimed, "You broke through." The others did not understand what was going on. They all looked at Shao Qin as well, and their expressions changed. Before entering the ancient desolate tower, Shao Qin was merely an inferior-grade martial king. Although he had reached the pinnacle, there was still a long way to go before he could break through. Even the best geniuses would need 2 months to break through after cultivating a top-tier Earth-class cultivation technique with the help of miraculous elixirs. However, Shao Qin managed to break through to medial-grade martial king in less than half a day. It was impossible not to be shocked. Shao Qin nodded. "Yes, I just broke through." Doubt appeared in Jiang Zimo's eyes. He said, "Strange, our cultivation also increased. However, why are we not as fast as you?" Shao Qin smiled faintly and did not dwell on this topic. He had a guess in his heart: whoever broke through first would gain the most benefits. Of the 3 floors, Shao Qin was the first to break through. Naturally, he would gain more than the others. The 8 of them did not say anything more. They focused their attention on the paintings and started to discuss them in detail. The places in these paintings are all forbidden lands in the Tianwu continent. Could it be that we have to pass through these forbidden lands to break through to this floor? Zuemo pointed to one of the paintings and said, "That painting shows the Great Tang Nation's demonic beast cave. Even peak martial monarchs would not dare to say that they can do as they please there." Xia Xian said, "I believe the test of this floor comes from these paintings. The places in the paintings should be less dangerous. Otherwise, there would be no point in them existing. They would just chase us out." Xiao Chu Chaoyun waved his hand and put away the painting of the 10,000 poison ice cave. He stared at the painting for a while before he turned into a beam of dim light and entered it. The others also started to carefully choose the dangerous lands that they were good at. After everyone made their choices, Xiao Qin made his own decision. The Scarlet Blood Prison painting was sucked over. As Xiao Qin stared at it, a huge suction force came from the painting, as though it wanted to pull in one's soul. Xiao Qin did not use his spiritual sense to resist. He allowed it to pull him in. After that, he turned into a beam of dim light and entered the painting. Boom! As Xiao Qin's figure moved, he found himself in a desolate space. When he looked up, the sky was scarlet. Strands of scarlet flaming clouds drifted around continuously. In the center of his head, a giant blood-colored lotus flame was blooming in an incomparably enchanting manner, appearing very strange. The surroundings were very sinister and cold. When Xiao Qin looked up, he saw scarlet pillars supporting the sky at the farthest ends of the horizon. The scarlet pillars were connected to the clouds. They looked like a huge cage, wrapping up the surroundings. It looked very grand. Xiao Qin muttered, "This should be the Scarlet Blood Prison. It is made of the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame. There is a Blood Flame Beast King guarding each of the 4 scarlet pillars. As long as Xiao Qin killed these 4 Blood Flame Beast Kings and broke the cage, he should be able to clear this stage." As for the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame, it was an extremely monstrous flame. Xiao Qin would not be able to resist it. The designer of the ancient desolate tower would not be so stupid as to ask Xiao Qin to subdue the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame. That would really be chasing him away. The Scarlet Blood Frost Flame was a strange flame that drifted in the world. Rumor had it that it was a demonic flame that a martial emperor of the ancient era refined. After that martial emperor fell, the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame did not extinguish. It drifted around uncontrollably. Wherever they went, they were invincible and unstoppable. Cities and empires could be completely destroyed. It killed countless people and gathered countless aggrieved spirits. At the same time, these aggrieved spirits strengthened the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame. The Blood Flame Beast was a monster formed by the aggrieved spirits and the flame. It was neither human nor beast, neither fiend nor demon. Its strength was extremely horrifying. The remaining Emperor-level powerhouses tried several times to refine it or destroy it, but to no avail. However, the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame had absorbed too many aggrieved spirits. It already had a basic level of intelligence. Furthermore, it was extremely strong. Ordinary martial emperor experts were not a match for it. The last surviving martial emperor could only helplessly seal it under the Great Jin Nation's heavenly boat mountain, forming the strange Scarlet Blood Prison. Hu Qi! Hu Qi! As Xiao Qin pondered, the scarlet lotus above his head suddenly shook. Countless petals made of scarlet flames drifted down to the ground. The flames were like fresh blood, glistening and alluring. It looked like a rain of scarlet petals. It was very demonic. This was a strange sight. However, Xiao Qin's expression changed. His figure flickered as he quickly retreated. Xiao! 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 After the scarlet petals landed on the ground, they wriggled continuously and formed 2-meter-tall humanoid blood flame beasts. When Xiao Qin looked around, there were at least 200 blood flame beasts. After they landed, they immediately charged at Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin narrowed his eyes. He felt the aura of the blood flame beasts. They were equivalent to human superior-grade martial kings. A true blood flame beast was at least a half-step martial monarch. It looked like this painting gave the challenger a chance of survival. It was not too exaggerated. The blood flame beasts were made of scarlet inattributed flames. Their eyes were 2 black holes, and a fist-sized white light flickered on their chests. That was the sole imprint of the aggrieved spirit. The aggrieved spirit did not have any memories, but it retained its combat experience. As Xiao Qin retreated, he looked at the blood flame beasts drifting about. He muttered, "It retains its combat experience. It is indeed difficult to deal with. However, in the end, it is a inattributed flame. My purple thunder true fire should be able to restrain it. One of the reasons why Xiaochen chose the Scarlet Blood Prison was because the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame was a inattributed flame. The Yang attributed Purple Thunder True Fire countered it. However, when it came to restraining each other, it was like water and fire. Water could extinguish fire, and fire could extinguish water. In the end, they restrained each other. Whoever was stronger would be able to deal a fatal blow to the other party, and the damage would be higher. Xiaochen sheathed the lunar shadow saber at his waist and moved his 10 fingers. Purple flames appeared on his fingertips. As his essence was exhausted, the 10 strands of flames started to spread out. Xiaochen quickly formed hand seals with his 10 fingers. As his fingers danced, the 10 strands of flames floating in front of him started to condense, turning into short swords. When the hand seals were completed, the short swords formed by the Purple Thunder True Fire took shape. The lines on the swords looked very realistic, like a dagger giving off purple flames. Life Bestowal Spell. Xiaochen shouted and raised his right hand. The short swords immediately shot out, and a significant amount of the mental energy in his sea of consciousness was instantly drained. The target of the short swords was very clear, the white light on the blood flame beast's chest. Once the mark of the aggrieved spirit was destroyed, the blood flame beast would automatically break free. Regular weapons would not have much of an effect on the mental energy mark. However, these flaming weapons merged with Xiaochen's spiritual sense, and the life bestowal spell were the bane of this thing. Qi! Qi! Under the control of Xiaochen's spiritual sense, the 10 short swords instantly struck their target, stabbing into the white light. Strands of black smoke came out from the blood flame beast's head. Roar! The 10 blood flame beasts that had been struck let out heart-wrenching screams. They tried to pull out the purple flame daggers with their hands, but to no avail. Bang! The white specks of light were completely whittled away by the dagger, and the blood flame beast immediately turned into countless blood-red flames, dissipating into the surroundings. It is indeed effective, Xiaochen's face lit up in joy. Although using the Purple Thunder True Fire to execute the life bestowal spell exhausted a lot of mental energy, it was not as effective as before. However, compared to the lethality of the attack, it was not worth mentioning at all. A single hit would kill the target without a doubt. Such an effect was definitely worth it. Xiaochen gently pushed off the ground and activated the Blood Flame Shoe's secret technique. His speed reached Mach 4. As he retreated, the pursuing blood flame beasts managed to widen the distance between them. Chapter 480. Xiao. After summoning 10 clumps of flames, Xiaochen quickly executed the life bestowal spell again. As the short sword flew out, 10 blood flame beasts immediately died. Just like that, Xiaochen used his advantage in speed to prevent the blood flame beasts from surrounding him. On the other hand, Xiaochen's hands danced around, forming hand seals continuously as he executed the life bestowal spell. The number of 200 blood flame beasts started to decrease. However, Xiaochen was not in a rush. As he killed the blood flame beasts, he familiarized himself with the life bestowal spell with the Purple Thunder True Fire. This was also a form of cultivation. It was not a waste of time. Furthermore, it was stable and would not make any mistakes. After 2 hours, not a single blood flame beast could be seen on the ground. When Xiaochen stopped, he felt slightly dizzy. This was the side effect of exhausting his mental energy. However, it was still within his control. After resting for a while, Xiaochen opened his eyes again, feeling much better. Hu Qi! The scarlet flower petals rained down from the sky once again. This time, Xiaochen would not give the blood flame beast a chance to land on the ground and change its form. Roaming Dragon's 9 Transformations. Xiaochen shouted and executed the Roaming Dragon's 9 transformations. His figure soared into the sky and he drew the lunar shadow saber with a ka-sieh sound. Purple pure yang flames dyed the saber blade. 9 figures danced around in the air. Saber lights flickered and chopped the flower petals into sparks before they landed on the ground. Merge! The 9 figures merged back together, and Xiao Qin landed on the ground. When he saw the scarlet sparks filling the sky, he revealed a faint smile. This made things much easier. Xiao Qin withdrew his gaze and quickly headed for the scarlet pillars in the west. Every scarlet pillar had a blood flame beast king. These were the strong blood flame beasts that the scarlet blood frost flame used to deal with the seal. As long as Xiao Qin killed these 4 blood flame beasts, the scarlet blood prison would break on its own. At that time, the power of the seal would completely suppress the scarlet blood frost flame. In terms of combat prowess, a blood flame beast king could rival a peak martial monarch. However, it was unknown how much weaker this painting was. Moving like a bolt of lightning, Xiao Qin strode forward in this blood-red world. After a few breaths, the towering blood-red pillar was right in front of him. Xiao! At this moment, a scarlet flower petal rapidly fell from the sky above. The lotus-shaped flame in the sky flickered. He seemed to know what Xiao Qin was going to do and was very anxious. Xiao Qin smiled faintly and slowly drew his lunar shadow saber. He said, "It is the same move. If it is useless the second time, it will be even more useless the third time." Xiao Qin pushed off the ground and soared into the air. He split into 9 clones and executed Wukuei transforms to Qi, trying to chop all the flower petals into sparks. Bang, bang, bang. However, the petals that were about to form blood flame beasts suddenly exploded, forming blood flame beasts in the air. However, they were much smaller than the first batch of blood flame beasts. Their auras were also much weaker. Xiao Qian's smile faded and his expression turned grave again. It looked like the rumors of this scarlet blood frost flame gaining some consciousness were true. It actually knew how to reduce its might and shorten the time it took for the blood flame beasts to form to delay him. Bang! 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 There were too many blood flame beasts. In the blink of an eye, several of Xiao Qian's clones were burned to nothing by the surging flames. I have to think of a way to break out of this encirclement. There are more than 200 blood flame beasts, too many. Xiao Qian focused and a fierce flame started burning in his right eye. Bang! The huge clump of flames infused with the purple thunder true fire's origin flame surged forward. Under the ferocious attacks of this pure yang attributed flame, the purple thunder true fire's origin flame was unable to withstand it. Under the ferocious attacks of this pure yang flame, the large number of blood flame beasts in front of Xiao Qian were immediately blasted into nothingness. Xiao Qian successfully broke out of the encirclement. When Xiao Qian landed on the ground, he sheathed his saber and repeated the same move. Broken swords made of purple thunder true fire started to attack the blood flame beasts. Xiao! Xiao! As Xiao Qian became more familiar with the life bestowal spell, he made the blood flame beasts on the ground disappear one by one. The blood flame beasts, which gave others a headache, were unable to cause much trouble at Xiao Qian's hands. After Xiao Qian dealt with this batch of blood flame beasts, the scarlet blood frost flame in the sky moved again. A boundless scarlet rain descended, and another large group of blood flame beasts descended. Xiao Qian did not show any impatience on his face. He smiled gently and said, "You want to compete in patience? In that case, you are looking for the wrong person. Let's see who can last longer." As the scarlet rain fell, another few hundred blood flame beasts formed. Xiao Qian squinted and moved his 10 fingers, summoning 20-odd clumps of flames in one breath. The flames quickly turned corporeal, turning into many short swords with the help of the life bestowal spell. With the help of the life bestowal spell, every sword was a killing move. Xiao Qian dealt with a blood flame beast with every sword strike. The scarlet blood frost flame was just using an endless barrage of attacks to wear down Xiao Qian's patience. If Xiao Qian panicked before the battle started, he would not be able to remain calm when he reached the top of the towering scarlet pillar. Naturally, his combat prowess would drop by several levels. However, the scarlet blood frost flame had found the wrong person. Xiao Qian's mental state was much higher than that of his peers. He treated the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame's attacks as a whetstone for practicing the life bestowal spell. He continuously tempered himself, using the Purple Thunder True Fire to practice the life bestowal spell. Furthermore, Xiaochen believed that the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame's energy could not be used indefinitely. There would be a time when it would run out or when it would need to stop. Time slowly went by. Xiaochen was already able to control only 10 short swords at the start. Now, he could control 50 short swords at the same time. Furthermore, the number of short swords continued to increase. His improvement was godly. After destroying another group of blood flame beasts, Xiaochen's smile widened. He said, "Such a good place to cultivate. I really cannot find another place like this." Xiaochen's spiritual sense was incredibly strong, comparable to that of a martial monarch. As long as he did not exhaust all of his mental energy in one go, he would be able to defeat Xiaochen easily. As long as he did not exhaust all his mental energy, he could take advantage of the time when the blood rain fell to the ground and rest for a while. That way, he would be able to replenish most of his exhausted mental energy. Wang. After finishing off the last batch of blood flame beasts, Xiaochen closed his eyes again and waited for a while. Xiaochen's mental energy had already completely recovered. However, he still had not sensed the blood rain falling. So, Xiaochen opened his eyes. He looked at the scarlet blood frost flame in the sky, which had already dimmed significantly. He smiled faintly and said, "How unfortunate. I was so close to learning how to control 100 short swords at the same time." If this scarlet blood frost flame really had the 7 emotions and 6 desires of a human, it would have vomited blood when it heard this. Xiaochen treated its killing move like a tonic and even complained that it was too little. Then, Xiaochen pushed off the ground and rushed towards the towering scarlet pillar. After a few breaths, he finally reached the top of the 2,000-meter-tall pillar. There was a vast platform at the top of the pillar. It seemed to be stuck to the clouds. A blood flame beast king stood on the platform. It looked like a real person. 2 spots of white light floated in its eyes as it looked coldly and emotionlessly at Xiaochen, who was slowly approaching. Xiaochen looked at the chest of the blood flame beast king. He saw a round, hard, scarlet lump on its chest. It was like a breastplate protecting the blood flame beast king's only weakness. Xiaochen could not help but frown. Given this, Xiaochen's moves, which worked on other blood flame beasts, might not work on this blood flame beast king. However, based on the blood flame beast king's aura, it had only reached the level of a peak martial king. It was not to the point where it could not put up a fight. Xiaochen landed firmly on the towering scarlet pillar. The clouds made of scarlet flames above his head were as smooth as a mirror. As he pressed tightly against the towering scarlet pillar, Xiaochen only needed to jump up gently and he would be able to touch the mirror-like scarlet clouds. Xiao! The instant Xiaochen landed, the blood flame beast king turned into a red afterimage and charged at Xiaochen. The blood flame beast king waved its hand, and a clump of scarlet flames shot at Xiaochen. Ka Xie! Xiaochen drew the lunar shadow saber at lightning speed. He did not hesitate at all. Countless pure yang attributed flames soared up from the saber. Bang! Boom! Xiaochen swung his saber at lightning speed. The expected situation of the scarlet flames splitting in half did not happen. Instead, they exploded and turned into surging shockwaves. The so-called yin and yang restraining each other was only relative. When 2 sides were equal in strength, the so-called restraining effect was the same for both sides. Paw! Xiaochen ruthlessly smashed his right palm against the shockwaves and knocked them back. The shockwaves surged towards the rapidly moving blood flame beast. The blood flame beast king paused for a moment. Originally, it wanted to cause some trouble for Xiaochen and wait for an opportunity to make a move. However, it knew that Xiaochen would actually knock this problem back to itself. Xiao! 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 The red afterimage stopped and punched. The purple thunder true fire and the scarlet blood frost flame formed a chaotic clump of energy. The purple and red alternated as they spun rapidly in the air. Then, they flew at Xiao Chen again. On the towering scarlet pillar, Xiao Chen and the blood flame beast king moved back and forth. The two flames of completely different attributes formed a mass of primal chaos that rapidly rolled between the man and the beast. Every time the two of them knocked back the clump of energy, they would infuse some energy into it. As time passed, the energy contained in the clump of energy reached a horrifying level. Under the influence of the energy, the pure scarlet clouds in the sky started to fluctuate, spreading out like ripples on water. Xiao Chen had a cautious expression. He did not dare to be careless. He executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art to its limits. His figure moved with the clump of energy, occasionally sending all sorts of saber techniques at the attacking blood flame beast. Bang! 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 Xiao Chen and the blood flame beast king stood in the air above the clump of chaotic energy. They both executed their techniques to attack the other's vital points. Arc-light chop. Xiao Chen shouted and his saber moved in an elegant arc. A purple flame burned on the arc. This caught the blood flame beast king off guard, which wanted to attack Xiao Chen from the side. The blood flame beast king had not expected that the saber chi that was clearly coming from the front would extend to the side. Pu Ci. The purple flame wrapped around the blood flame beast king and chopped off the right hand of the blood flame beast king. Roar! The blood flame beast roared in pain. However, it did not stop moving. It opened its left hand and 5 scarlet fingers grabbed at Xiao Chen's left shoulder. You are seeking death. Xiao Chen snorted coldly and turned his left hand into a claw. He quickly executed the dragon claw fist and an azure dragon claw appeared, clashing with the blood flame beast king. Chapter 481. Ka Xie. The dragon claw latched onto the blood flame beast king's fingers. Then, Xiao Chen grabbed and twisted. A huge force spread out and tore off the blood flame beast king's arm. The blood flame beast king's arms were broken, and it fell to the ground. It let out an ear-piercing roar of pain. Pu Ci. Sparks spread out, and the blood flame beast king's arm actually grew back at a visible rate. Xiao Chen's expression did not change. He knew that unless he attacked the blood flame beast king's vital point, which was the soul imprint, he would not be able to cause any substantial damage. Xiao Chen landed on the ground at lightning speed, and a fierce purple flame started to spread in his right eye. Finally, it burst out. The flame whirlpool infused with the purple thunder true fire's origin flame merged with the surging primal chaos chi in the air. Then, it carried surging energy as it headed for the blood flame beast. The primal chaos chi, which was already reaching its limits, started to crack when it received such a vast and pure yang attributed flame. A small hole appeared in the surging scarlet clouds above, and a strand of resplendent golden light fell from it. When the blood flame beast king saw the surging primal chaos chi with a surging aura, its expression changed greatly. This primal chaos chi was no longer something it could block. It had already wasted some time trying to regrow its arm. Now, it was too late to dodge. The blood flame beast king could only grit its teeth and wave its palms. A scarlet flame shield formed in front of it, ready to fight to the death. Xiao Chen did not even want to give the blood flame beast king one last chance. He released the saber hilt and sent out a palm strike. Xiao! The palm sword immediately shot out and turned into a beam of dim light. It disappeared in a flash and tore a small hole in the scarlet flame shield. Boom! The primal chaos chi arrived, and the shield, which already had a small hole in it, could no longer block it. The primal chaos chi shattered it. A horrifying energy instantly exploded. The blood flame beast king was blasted into a sorry state. The glow on its body dimmed, and the most important thing was that a crack appeared on its chest. Looking through the crack, one could clearly see a white brilliance pulsating continuously. Xiao Chen's gaze turned cold. He instantly sheathed the lunar shadow saber and summoned out a clump of purple flames. Then, he quickly formed hand seals. Life bestowal spell. Xiao! The short sword, which was surrounded by purple flames, instantly pierced through the crack. The king-grade blood flame beast roared angrily, and its body, which had already lost its luster, started to crack. In the end, it completely turned into wisps of flames that scattered into the sky. As the king-level blood flame beast died, Xiaochen finally let out a sigh of relief. This king-level blood flame beast was no weaker than him. Furthermore, Xiaochen's body was completely composed of flames, making it extremely troublesome to deal with him. If not for the life bestowal spell formed by the purple flames, the explosion of the ball of qi at the end would not have been able to deal any fatal damage to him. The longer it dragged on, the more disadvantageous the situation would be for Xiaochen. Kacha kacha! The mirror-like clouds above the blood pillar started to crack. The strand of golden light grew larger and larger. Finally, it turned into a golden pillar of light and descended. Bang, bang, bang! Under the illumination of the golden light, the blood pillar started to rumble continuously. Finally, it shattered, and the 1,000-meter-tall blood pillar collapsed. Xiaochen landed back on the ground and said indifferently, "There are still 3 more spots. The combat prowess of the Blood Flame Beast King is weaker than mine. However, its recovery rate is much faster than mine. So, I have to end this quickly. Even if I have to use all my trump cards, I will not hesitate." Xiaochen closed his eyes and analyzed the earlier battle. When he opened his eyes, he only came to one conclusion. It was a quick battle. He had to think of a way to break through the hard block in front of the Blood Flame Beast King's chest. Even if he was injured, he had to do it. Then, he would use the short sword made of purple flames. This was the best way to deal with the Blood Flame Beast King. 6 hours later, Xiaochen killed the last Blood Flame Beast King in the Scarlet Blood Cage. Another hole appeared in the scarlet clouds. The golden pillar of light descended, and the blood pillar collapsed. Xiaochen landed on the ground. His white robes were already dyed red. Countless wounds of various sizes covered his body. He was clearly mentally fatigued. Panting slightly, Xiaochen stuffed a medicinal pill into his mouth. Then, he sat down cross-legged and circulated his energy to heal the wounds on his body. Sha! 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 As the 4 blood pillars collapsed, the scarlet clouds above started to shatter. The cage collapsed on its own, just as Xiaochen had expected. When all the blood clouds disappeared, a dazzling golden light shone down from the sky. The cold qi in the entire space disappeared completely. Pa! A huge golden palm appeared in the golden light, occupying half of the sky. The lines on the huge palm were very clear. It carried a supreme might as it grabbed the strange lotus-shaped flame and pulled it out. Xiaochen vaguely saw the scarlet blood frost flame and the huge palm fighting intensely. He wondered if it had been pulled out of the golden light. However, Xiaochen did not know. He had already turned into a beam of dim light and flew out of the painting. When Xiaochen looked around, the familiar environment of the ancient desolate tower appeared before him. He looked at the paintings that the other 7 had chosen. They were all still there. He should be the first to come out. Xiaochen withdrew his gaze and focused on the painting in his hand. He slowly unfurled the painting, and a new scene appeared before him. The scarlet blood prison that had been supporting the sky was no longer there. The picture in the painting turned into a golden palm slowly holding up a lotus made of scarlet flames. Xiaochen thought to himself, "This painting is really strange. It can absorb the projection of the real world. In the future, if I meet an enemy that I cannot deal with, I can open this painting and lock them up. I wonder if I can bring it out." Xiaochen tried to place it in his universe ring. However, he discovered a formless resistance. He could not succeed. Xiaochen could only place it in his embrace. There were many wounds on his body. His external injuries were horrifying, and his internal injuries were not good either. The yin flame of the blood flame beast had entered his body and burned his meridians. He had to recover before he could enter the next floor. Xiaochen closed his eyes and sat down cross-legged, continuing to treat his injuries. Xiao. After a while, there was the sound of wind. Xiao Chen checked with his spiritual sense and discovered that Xia Xian had failed her challenge. She had been ejected out of the ancient desolate tower. Xiao Chen felt it was a pity. Then, he continued to focus on treating his injuries. Soon, another dim light flashed. Mu Xinya had failed her challenge as well. Every now and then, another dim light would flash. Jiang Zimo and Chu Mu had both failed their challenges. They were all ejected out of the ancient desolate tower. Xiao Chen thought to himself, how lucky I am. If I did not have the purple thunder true fire, I would not have been able to clear the scarlet blood prison so smoothly. Otherwise, I would not have ended up much better than these people. The chances of me failing would have been very high. After a while, with the nourishment of essence and medicinal pills, Xiao Chen's internal injuries were significantly better. The wounds on his body had already healed completely, there were no longer any visible injuries. Xiao Chen opened his eyes and stood up, I can only do this. If I want to recover completely, I will need at least half a day. I cannot afford to wait that long. Bang! Just at this moment, one of the paintings shattered, turning into countless pieces of paper flying through the air. Chu Chaoyun stood on the ground in a sorry state. Frost covered his entire body, and his lips were frighteningly black. It looked like Chu Chaoyun had met with some trouble in the 10,000 poison ice cave. However, he had managed to get out. Bang! Bang! There were two more crisp sounds and the two paintings exploded at the same time. Zuomo and Ding Fengqiu had passed the test of the paintings. The two of them were in a sorry state. After they came out, they did not say anything. They only looked at Xiao Chen with some astonishment before they started to treat their injuries with Chu Chaoyun. Xiao Chen noticed that when they came out, the painting had already exploded into pieces. However, his painting was as good as new. There had to be some unknown reason behind this. However, this was not the time to think about this. Xiao Chen gently pushed off the ground. Xiao Chen quickly flew towards the halo above his head. There were no obstructions as he successfully broke through the layer of light. Dee-da! 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 The pure essence liquid fell unceasingly. This time, it took a full 80 seconds for Xiao Chen to completely pass through the barrier of the halo. Xiao Chen opened his eyes. He could clearly feel the overflowing energy in his body. Not only had he completely replenished the essence he exhausted earlier, but the size of the qi whirlpool had also increased. A smile appeared on Xiao Chen's face. This layer of light was sufficient to last him for 2 months of bitter cultivation. Looking up, Xiao Chen started to size up the environment of the 5th floor. There was a mysterious door of light flashing in front of him. Aside from that, there was nothing else in the 5th floor. The door flickered with light, and Xiao Chen's figure appeared in front of it. In that blurry light, Xiao Chen wore long white robes. 18 blue dragons revolved around him as he stood on the summit of a boundlessly tall mountain. Below the mountain summit, there was a crowd of people looking up at the person on the summit with reverent gazes. Xiao Chen was slightly startled. However, he still calmly analyzed the situation in his heart. It seems like it can see a certain part of a person's desires. Standing at the peak, receiving the respect of millions of people, immortalized for thousands of years. This was Xiao Chen's goal in pursuing the martial Tao. This test should be the test of desire. It was the same as the test of death on the 3rd floor. This was the temptation of life, a test of desire. Some people's hearts were as firm as a rock. Even when facing the pressure of death, they would not waver. However, on the path of a cultivator, what was worse than death was desire. Death was a hard pressure, but desire was a soft knife to grind. Without one realizing it, one would sink into it and be unable to advance any further. This was even scarier than death. No matter what, I have to face it calmly. Being able to reach this floor is already pretty good. Xiao Chen had a cautious expression on his face. He could not guarantee that he could face the desire calmly. He could only take it one step at a time. After taking a deep breath, Xiao Chen raised his leg and stepped into the light. Xiao! After Xiao Chen entered the light, Chu Chaoyun, Zuemo, and Ding Fengqiu appeared on the 5th floor. These people must have been rather anxious. When they saw that Xiao Chen had entered the 5th floor ahead of time and had only recovered from a small portion of his internal injuries, they rushed up. Chapter 482. It is actually the door of desire. The three of them studied the light for a long time before they finally understood what this light was. Their expressions could not help but change, and they became very cautious. The three of them were able to obtain the qualifications to participate in the selection from tens of thousands of cultivators. Then, they obtained 20 spots from a group filled with geniuses. In the end, they had put in a lot of effort before they reached this step. All of them were dragons and phoenixes among men. They had their own unique understandings of the martial way. Naturally, they knew the difficulty of desire and what it meant to cultivators. Ding Fengqiu revealed a bitter smile on his face. He sighed, I did not expect that the test of the 5th floor would be this door of desire. Desire, desire, to not sink into desire, difficult, difficult, difficult. Ding Fengqiu said the word difficult 3 times in one breath. His emotions were very complicated. In reality, it was hard to calm one's desires. In the door of desire, those desires would be magnified several times over. It would be even more difficult to calmly walk through it. If one could not walk out, they might sink into desire forever, forever trapped in the door of desire. Zuomo's expression was also uncertain. He did not know what to do. Clearly, he did not have the confidence to clear this door of desire. Just as the two of them were silent, Chu Chaoyun, who was at the side, slowly entered the door of light with a calm expression. Then, he disappeared from the two's sight. Zuomo's expression froze. He wanted to follow after Chu Chaoyun. However, his rationality overcame his impulse. Zuomo clenched his fist tightly and said with some dissatisfaction, it was not easy to reach the 5th floor. I did not expect that I would have to take the initiative to give up. I am really not resigned to this. Ding Fengqiu looked at Zuomo, this old rival of his for many years. He sighed softly, stop feeling conflicted. Knowing when to give up might be a form of improvement. Originally, Ding Fengqiu thought that the main character of this trial of the ancient desolate tower would be between the two of them. He did not expect that in the end, Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyun would snatch away all the glory. Most peak geniuses would be able to calmly make their decisions. Ding Fengqiu and Zuomo were such people. After they sighed, they quickly recovered. Zuomo shifted his gaze to Ding Fengqiu and said softly, in the previous 5-nation youth competition, I defeated you by 1 move. After that, we did not fight seriously for the next 2 years. After this parting at the ancient desolate tower, we will probably have to wait until the next 5-nation youth competition to fight again. Right here, right now, how about we fight one more time? Ding Fengqiu grasped the sword hilt tightly with his right hand and smiled faintly. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, that is exactly what I was thinking. Let me see your improvement over the past year. In the vast space, the glowing door of desire was thrown to the side by the two of them, and they began to fight just like that. With such a state of mind, they were able to calmly make choices in the face of their desires. Regardless of whether they had experienced it or not, the cultivation of their state of mind had taken a big step forward. Even if he didn't reach a higher level, with this attitude, he might be able to reach the peak of the martial path. The instant Xiao Chen stepped into the ring of light, his mind turned chaotic. Many things appeared in his mind. It was like he had forgotten some things and remembered even more. Xiao Chen was the white-robed bladesman. After the Thunder King, he was the only person to become a martial sage before the age of 30. Furthermore, he had established his own sect, the 10,000 Saber sect. He was the sect master and had tens of thousands of disciples. Now, not only was Xiao Chen at the peak of the great Qin nation, but with the help of the 10,000 Saber sect, even the royal court did not dare challenge him. Xiao Chen even seemed to suppress the royal court, showing signs of replacing them at any moment. However, he also felt like he had forgotten something, something that seemed important and unimportant at the same time. When Xiaochen opened his eyes, he discovered that he was standing on the summit of a mountain. When he looked up, he saw that the clouds in the sky were within reach. The winds and clouds churned, creating a huge scene. Xiaochen's eyes were filled with confusion. After a while, he used 2 fingers as a sword and pointed at the sky. Boom! Xiaochen's aura burst forth. It was like a stagnant waterfall that had been suppressed for a long time. At this moment, it suddenly burst forth and crashed down. When Xiaochen pointed, the clouds churned and instantly tore a large hole. The formless energy was like a sharp divine weapon. After it tore through the clouds, its momentum did not decrease. Finally, it tore through the sky and left behind a pitch-black hole. Then, it headed for the boundless and mysterious world outside the sky. After breaking through the clouds did not gather for a long time. Xiaochen stood upright with his hands behind his back. As he looked at the mysterious phenomenon in the sky, he muttered, "No matter what, this strength is the most practical. If I have forgotten something, then forget it." Xiaochen clenched his fist tightly. The confusion in his eyes disappeared and turned incredibly cold. On the path of a cultivator, only strength was the most practical. Everything else was fabricated, just temptations, trivial matters of the mortal world. He had to cut them all off. Cut! Cut! Withdraw! Xiaochen narrowed his eyes and clasped his fingers together. Instantly, it seemed like he grasped the laws of heaven and earth. Under the influence of the laws, the large hole in the sky slowly mended. The clouds churned and the winds and clouds changed, returning to normal. Xiao! A figure quickly flashed below the mountain. That person wore blue robes with a slender lunar shadow saber embroidered on his chest. That was the symbol of the 10,000 Saber sect. The symbol of this blue-robed youth was different from the others. There was a golden scabbard embroidered beside the lunar shadow saber. This person was Lan Chou, the personal disciple of the 10,000 Saber sect master, Xiaochen. When he saw this scene, the respect in his eyes intensified. Xiaochen's figure flashed and arrived before this person. He asked expressionlessly, "How did it go?" Lan Chou knelt on one knee and said respectfully, reporting to Master, "The Misty Sword sect has been completely destroyed. From now on, the great Qin nation will never hear the words Misty Sword sect again. The sect master was killed, and Chu Chaoyun's whereabouts are unknown." Xiaochen paused for a moment and said coldly, "Hand over the things." Lan Chou nodded and stood up. He took out rows of boxes from his spatial ring. The boxes were all neatly arranged with piles of medial-grade spirit stones. There were at least 30,000 boxes densely packed together. Dense spiritual energy flowed out of the boxes, filling the entire mountain peak with a sticky spiritual energy. Xiaochen glanced at them and frowned. There are exactly 10 million medial-grade spirit stones. Is that all the Misty Sword sect's 10,000 years of accumulation? Lan Chou's chest tightened. He knew that Xiaochen was starting to suspect him. He quickly said, "I guess that Chu Chaoyun took at least half of it. That's why there are so few. However, there are still 50,000 superior-grade spirit stones and hundreds of 3,000-year-old spirit herbs." Not daring to be slow, Lan Chou took out all the Misty Sword sect's wealth. Xiaochen's expression turned grave and stern. He nodded and said, "Never mind, I'll make do." Bang! 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 With a thought, the 30,000 boxes containing medial-grade spirit stones exploded. The spirit stones shattered as well. The 10 million medial-grade spirit stones turned into a sticky liquid drifting in the air. Xiaochen's expression did not change. He stood upright with one hand and grabbed forward with his right hand. Who? The sticky liquid covering the entire mountain formed a whirlpool that spun continuously. Xiaochen slowly removed the impurities of the medial-grade spirit stones. Finally, Shaochen refined the essence of the 10 million medial-grade spirit stones into a small medicinal pill. He opened his mouth and inhaled. The medicinal pill melted when it entered his mouth, turning into surging essence and returning to his dantian. Shaochen closed his eyes and slowly absorbed the essence. After a long time, he opened his eyes. There was some dissatisfaction on his stern face. 10 million medial-grade spirit stones can only reduce my time by 3 years. The amount of energy required to advance to martial sage is too great. Lan Cho swallowed hard in his heart. Only this person in front of him would dare to say such bold words. That was 10 million medial-grade spirit stones, the accumulation of the Misty Sword sect for 10,000 years. Yet, he swallowed it just like that. Unexpectedly, he was still dissatisfied. Lan Cho suggested in a soft voice, "Master, the Night Spirit Palace is destroyed, and the Misty Sword sect is destroyed as well. Now, only the Heavenly Saber Pavilion is left in the Great Qin Nation. When should we make a move? We will wait for Master's instructions." Lan Cho was very clear that Shaochen had established the 10,000 Saber sect only for the sake of gathering more resources. He had never cared about the authority of the secular world. This was also the reason why Lan Cho had sworn to follow Shaochen to the death. Shaochen did not care about authority, but Lan Cho did. Destroying the 3 great sects and pressuring the royal court. That way, the 10,000 Saber sect's authority would reach its peak. Lan Cho could not help but get excited just thinking about it. Heavenly Saber Pavilion? The image of a girl appeared in Shaochen's mind. He shook his head and said, "There is no need. You can go first. After I enter closed-door cultivation for 3 days, I will send my troops to the imperial capital and destroy the Great Qin Nation's royal court." Xiao! Xiao! Shaochen stretched out a finger and quickly tapped the air. With every tap, a superior grade spirit stone appeared. Under Shaochen's command, 50,000 superior grade spirit stones formed a huge peak grade spirit gathering formation floating above the 10,000 Saber sect. Shaochen's body floated up and he sat firmly in the center of the formation. All the lines on the spirit gathering formation immediately lit up. Rumble. The clouds churned and drops of pure spiritual energy slowly fell on the formation. Finally, they all returned to Shaochen, who was in the center of the formation. Inside the ancient desolate tower, Ding Fengqiu and Zuomo's battle had reached a crucial moment. Bang! The palm wind and sword chi clashed. The two of them each took half a step back, and blood leaked out of the corner of their lips. However, they were evenly matched. However, if one looked carefully, Zuomo had more injuries than Ding Fengqiu. In the overall battle, he was at a disadvantage. Zuomo said softly, "You win." Ka Xie. Ding Fengqiu withdrew his sword and shook his head. He smiled bitterly and said, "The space here is narrow. It limits your strength. Let's consider it a draw." Zuomo smiled faintly and did not deny it. He looked at the door of desire and said, "You really do not intend to give it a try, right?" Ding Fengqiu had a deep gaze as he looked at the flickering door of desire. He shook his head and said, "There's no need. Desire is hard to bear. I will not be able to walk through this door before the age of 30. I will only sink into it forever. Who do you think is most likely to walk through this door of desire?" Zuomo asked. After thinking for a while, Ding Fengqiu said, "Chu Chaoyan." Shaochen's desire is too obvious. This is the path to the peak of cultivation. When one's desire reaches its peak, one will sink deeper and deeper. In the end, one will completely lose oneself. Zuomo smiled faintly and said, "We will see. However, I truly hope that he can walk out of it. Over the years, the 5th floor has always been a hurdle. If he can walk out of it, he will definitely experience a qualitative improvement." Chapter 483. The two did not say anything more. They each removed the jade pendants on their chests. They needed to have the jade pendants to remain in the ancient desolate tower. If they destroyed their jade pendants, they would be sent out of the ancient desolate tower. Hua! The two crushed their jade pendants at the same time and turned into beams of dim light shooting out of the ancient desolate tower. At the foot of the Tianmu Emperor, Shi Hailong watched Zhou Imo and Ding Fengqiu forfeit. The light in his eyes intensified. Only Chu Chaoyun and Xiao Qin remain. We will know who that person is soon. An elder at the side added, "It has been a few years already, and no one has been able to clear the fourth floor." This time, two people appeared. Furthermore, they are trying to clear the fifth floor. This is quite rare. Li Xiuzhu, who had been silent all this while, smiled coldly. The fifth floor is the door of desire. If you do not come out within an hour, you will sink into oblivion. Li Xiuzhu's heart turned cold. He had not expected that the brat he did not think highly of would be able to continue. First, Xiao Qin obtained 100 consecutive victories, obtaining one of the 20 spots. Now, he cleared 4 floors and reached the 5th floor. If he allowed Xiao Qin to continue, he would have nowhere to hide. Li Xiuzhu thought about how he had made things difficult for Xiao Qin back then. At that time, he would have nowhere to hide his old face. Damn brat, you better sink into oblivion, Li Xiuzhu cursed in his heart. Inside the door of desire at the main peak of the 10,000 Saber sect, it had been raining for 3 days and 3 nights already. Every night, the spiritual rain with motes of light in the air was a spectacle of the 10,000 Saber sect. It could be seen clearly from the foot of the mountain. However, the 10,000 Saber sect disciples were not surprised by this. Every time they destroyed a large sect, such a situation would occur. They knew that the sect master, Xiao Qin, was using the ancient formation to cultivate. Furthermore, after he came out of closed-door cultivation, he would start another expedition. Now, the 10,000 Saber sect could be said to be unbridled in the great Qin nation. Practically no one could stop them. Even the Imperial Dragon Legion of the royal court had to retreat, not daring to clash with them. Everyone knew that the current Xiao Qin was the Thunder King of the past. Sooner or later, he would step into the threshold of Martial Emperor and become a true peak expert. The 10,000 Saber sect had countless small and large forces coming to join them every day. I wonder which target he will choose after he comes out of closed-door cultivation. Right now, the great Qin nation only has the Heavenly Saber Pavilion and the Royal Court. I feel that it will be the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. After all, the royal clan still has their accumulations. Princess Yingyu's strength is close to the sect masters. It will be hard to deal with them. However, I heard that the sect master came from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion back then. Why would he make a move against the Heavenly Saber Pavilion? After all, are there still any feelings? So what if you have feelings? After reaching Martial Sage, the resources you need to cultivate will reach an astronomical figure. If you do not plunder those large sects, how can you guarantee a fast cultivation speed? At the foot of the mountain, a few patrolling core disciples of the 10,000 Saber sect were chatting about Xiao Qin's next target. Assemble! At this moment, the bell in the hall on the mountainside began to ring. It rang a total of 12 times. The patrolling disciples immediately revealed excited expressions. They stopped chatting and headed for the entrance of the hall. The thousands of core disciples of the 10,000 Saber sect had all gathered in front of the huge hall. Lan Cho, who was on a high platform, looked at the crowd below with a pleased expression. We will rest for the night. Tomorrow morning, we will advance to the imperial capital. Lan Cho waved his hand, and his resonant voice resounded throughout the entire mountain. The well-trained core disciples didn't say anything and immediately scattered in all directions to begin their final preparations. The essence of the 50,000 superior grade spirit stones in the spirit gathering formation was completely exhausted. A strand of spiritual fire came out from under Xiao Qin and spread throughout the entire formation. Xiao! As the spiritual fire burned, all the materials were burned away. Xiao Qin stood in the air with a bright light in his eyes. Indeed, superior grade spirit stones are more effective. However, this rank 9 spirit gathering formation exhausted too many superior grade spirit stones. I have to go to the royal court, Xiao Chen said resolutely as he looked in the direction of the imperial capital. Early the next morning, hundreds of warships hovered in the air above the 10,000 saber sect. Banners fluttered in the wind from the bows of the warships. Xiao Chen stood on the summit and watched all this with a cold expression. He had no feelings for the sect under him. Everything was just a pawn for him to gather resources. The authority of the mundane world was just mundane in his eyes. It was the shackles of a cultivator, a desire, an emotion that had to be severed. Xiao. With a thought, a scarlet light flickered on Xiao Chen's forehead, and a scarlet throne appeared from nowhere. Xiao Chen sat on the throne, holding the lunar shadow saber in his right hand and holding it to the bottom of the throne. Riding on the continuous blood clouds under the throne, Xiao Chen arrived in front of the fleet in a flash. He raised his left hand slightly and flew forward without saying anything. On the flagship, when Lan Chou saw Xiao Chen's gesture, he quickly shouted, "Depart." Leading all the elites of the 10,000 saber sect, Xiao Chen leaned on the scarlet throne. He supported his chin with his right hand and held the lunar shadow saber with his left. He closed his eyes lazily and rested. Even though his eyes were closed, he did not emit any aura. However, on the throne, Xiao Chen still gave off the impression of being unparalleled, looking down on the world. The aura of a supreme king spread out. The cultivators passing by did not hesitate to give way. Furthermore, they retreated silently. They were afraid that they would startle Xiao Chen and invite a great disaster upon themselves. Qi! Qi! The scarlet mark on Xiao Chen's forehead started to flicker continuously. He opened his eyes, and a faint expression flashed on his somewhat charming and fair face. About 10 kilometers in front, there were many golden warships. They were the great Qi nation's Imperial Dragon Legion. On the flagship, an old man wearing golden battle armor looked at Xiao Chen with a grave expression. There was some anxiety in his eyes. The old man's qi and blood surged, and a strong aura soared into the sky. People could clearly feel it from 10 kilometers away. On the throne, Xiao Chen straightened his body and muttered, "Nangong Lai. What can a half-step martial sage do?" Xiao. The throne doubled its speed and flashed forward. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Chen arrived in front of the Imperial Dragon Legion on a red cloud. Xiao Chen is here. Seeing the red cloud in the sky, the people on the warships panicked. Everyone had nervous expressions. Xiao Chen, do you really want to destroy the great Qi nation that much? Nangong Lai shouted angrily as he looked at Xiao Chen from the flagship. Xiao Chen replied expressionlessly, "I don't want to. I only need resources. All I seek is the peak of the martial way." Nangong Lai scolded, "Sophistry. How is this any different from destroying the great Qi nation?" Xiao Chen said calmly, "Destroying the nation is just a means, not the end. I only have one goal from start to end." How stubborn. Don't think that you can cover the great Qi nation with one hand. Nangong Lai shouted, and his figure flickered in the air. He threw a palm strike, and a scorching palm wind smashed at Xiao Chen. A strong wind blew, and the force of this palm strike caused the air to boil. Boundless flames surged out. Xiao Chen shook his head and said, "After so many years, you are still stuck at half-step martial sage. You are not strong enough." Bang! Xiao Chen pointed at Nangong Lai from afar, and a huge azure finger appeared. Then, it struck Nangong Lai's chest, and there was a loud sound. Nangong Lai vomited a mouthful of blood and flew back. His figure spun around. Nangong Lai's figure flickered, and an inferno saber appeared in his hand. Flames gathered on the saber, forming a resplendent saber light. Boom! The saber light chopped down ferociously, and the space above Xiao Chen's head was chopped in half, leaving behind a pitch-black spatial tear. Xiao Chen sat on the scarlet throne. He could not even be bothered to draw his lunar shadow saber. He stretched out a finger above his head and gently blocked this saber strike. Nangong Lai did not give up. His saber gave off a 200-meter-long saber light. His figure flickered, and he surrounded Xiao Chen, sending out countless saber images in all directions. Bang! 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 Xiao Chen stretched out a finger and moved it up and down, blocking the overwhelming saber light 1 meter in front of him. Sparks exploded on the saber light. However, it was useless against Xiao Chen's quintessence shield. Xiao Chen looked at the feudal Nangong Lai, who continued to work hard. He said, "Your talent is not bad, and you became famous at a young age. Do you know why your progress is so slow? Why are you still stuck at half-step martial sage after so many years? You do not have resources. If you could consume 10 million medial-grade spirit stones in one go, you would be able to break through immediately. Unfortunately, you do not have the courage to do so. So, you can scram now." Xiao Chen's gaze turned cold, and he formed a claw with his right hand. An azure-colored dragon claw instantly appeared, and a resonant dragon roar resounded. The dragon claw pressed forward, and the laws of the world changed. Nangong Lai, who was a kilometer away, appeared uncontrollably in front of Xiao Chen. Scram! Xiao Chen swung the back of his right hand, and the dragon claw moved with it. Nangong Lai's internal organs were injured, and he fell to the ground like a broken kite. Fire! He just used the laws of the world. He cannot use the power of the world for now. Nangong Lai shouted with all his might after he landed. Dang! 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 The strengthened ancient demonic energy cannons on the Imperial Dragon Legion's warships instantly fired. Thousands of sharp cannonballs flew at Xiao Chen. The cannonballs formed a resplendent and magnificent scene in the air. If thousands of ancient demonic energy cannons struck Xiao Chen at the same time, even a martial sage who could not circulate the laws of the world would suffer. Xiao Chen looked coldly at the descending Nangong Lai. A murderous intent rose in Xiao Chen's heart. His original intention of sparing Nangong Lai's life vanished. An azure-colored finger appeared at lightning speed and tapped Nangong Lai's forehead. Pu Ci. A bloody hole instantly appeared. After doing all this, Xiao Chen circulated his quintessence and started to block the incoming ancient demonic energy cannons. Bang! Thousands of energy beams that could shatter mountains struck Xiao Chen's quintessence shield. The quintessence shield only lasted for half a second before shattering. Paw! 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 The beams of light struck Xiao Chen's body continuously. Xiao Chen allowed his body to churn and his internal organs to move. However, his expression did not change at all. However, it seemed even colder. When the beam of light stopped completely, when the beams of light stopped, Xiao Chen wiped the blood off his lips and looked at the Imperial Dragon Legion indifferently. He said coldly, "Scram." All Xiao Chen wanted was the resources of the royal court. He did not hate this group of people. If Nangong Lai had not schemed against him at the last moment, he would not have killed them. Chapter 484. It was not that he was soft-hearted, he just could not be bothered to waste his energy. The vice commander on the flagship suppressed the horror in his heart and said, "Don't be frightened. He must be suffering from internal injuries. He will not last much longer. Continue charging the cannons and prepare to fire." Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly as he suddenly stood up from his throne. The people on the fleet immediately felt like a tall mountain had suddenly soared up. Their breathing became somewhat labored, and they felt pressure. Their movements of charging spirit stones became sluggish. Reckless fool. Xiao Chen's white robes fluttered in the wind as he placed his right hand on his saber's hilt. Rage surged in Xiao Chen's heart. A power that could destroy the world instantly filled his entire body. As long as Xiao Chen drew his saber, even if he could not use the laws of heaven and earth, he could destroy 10-odd warships in an instant. The elites of the Imperial Dragon Legion on the warships would die as well. No matter if they were superior-grade martial kings or half-step martial monarchs, they would all vanish with one saber strike. A horrifying killing chi immediately spread throughout the entire fleet. The cultivators charging the ancient demonic energy cannons with superior-grade spirit stones felt their movements stiffen. It was like their limbs were not listening to them. Just as Xiao Chen was about to draw his saber, his gaze paused. He looked into the distance and saw a golden figure flying over like a meteor. When Xiao Chen saw who it was, he released his grip on his saber and sat back down on his throne. Everyone on the deck immediately heaved a sigh of relief. The huge mountain pressing down on them finally vanished. Their hearts pounded heavily as they felt a chill run down their spines. Xiao Chen remained expressionless. His gaze turned cold as he said in a frosty voice, "I'll say it again, scram." The vice commander on the flagship hesitated. He did not know what to do. They had received orders to stop the invasion of the 10,000 Sabers sect. However, in a few moves, Xiao Chen killed their commander. He did not even draw his saber. Thousands of ancient demonic energy cannons struck the other party. Although it looked very mighty, the other party only suffered minor injuries. The pressure on them did not decrease at all. "You guys go first. I'll talk to him." That resplendent golden meteor-like figure finally arrived at the crucial moment. The cultivators on the fleet immediately smiled and exclaimed in pleasant surprise, "First Princess." The person who came was the royal clan of the Great Qin Empire, the once-in-a-thousand-years genius Princess Yu. She was also the war god that everyone in the Imperial Dragon Legion worshipped. Yu wore golden battle armor and held the grand imperial spear in her hand. Golden flames burned in her eyes. She looked as noble and glorious as before, exuding an otherworldly beauty. Upon hearing Yu's words, the vice commander of the flagship heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he directed the Imperial Dragon fleet to retreat into the distance. On the Scarlet Throne, Xiao Chen looked at Yu and nodded slightly. "Not bad. After not seeing you for 3 years, you finally broke through to Martial Sage. You truly live up to your reputation as a genius. Unfortunately, you are still too slow, too slow." Yu looked at the calm and stern Xiao Chen, who was seated on the Scarlet Throne. His appearance had not changed at all, but the feeling he gave her was very unfamiliar, very distant. Every time Yu saw Xiao Chen's current appearance, she could not help but feel a dull pain in her heart. It was like being stabbed by needles and knives. It was very unbearable. Yu suppressed the melancholy in her heart and said coldly, "So what? I will not be like you, frantically plundering and going to extremes for the sake of cultivation." Xiao Chen's heart was as calm as still water, unperturbed. He shook his head and said, "You do not understand. This is the nature of this world. The strong prey on the weak, the survival of the fittest. I am just doing what those people want to do but do not dare to do. Now is the age of geniuses. Without a grand spirit, how can one stand in this age? This is the great Tao. It is just a matter of reaching the peak. All I need to do is maintain my calm." Yu laughed involuntarily. "Maintain your calm? You still dare to say, calm? If you still have a calm mind, why did you not let go of the Shao clans and the Feng clan's resources? You used your saber to kill everyone from the 2 clans." Xiao Chen's expression did not change. He muttered, "I already repaid what I owed them. All I need are resources. As long as they do not block my path, I will naturally spare their lives and give them an opportunity." A pained expression appeared on Yu's beautiful face. She bit her red lips, causing blood to flow out. Her voice trembled as she asked, "In that case, now that I am in your way, will you kill me as well?" A cold wind blew, gently ruffling the hair on Xiao Chen's forehead. No emotions could be seen on his fair and charming face. On the Scarlet Throne, Xiao Chen muttered to himself for a while. Then, he said softly, "There is no need to say anything more. Make your move. I will give you 3 moves. There is no need to say anything more." What a good, there is no need to say anything more. In his heart, I can only make him give me 3 moves. Yu smiled bitterly to herself and completely severed the ripples in her heart. "As you wish." If you want to fight, I will accompany you to the end. Inu shouted and thrust the grand imperial spear forward. A boundless dragon roar resounded behind her. This was the dragon chi that had been passed down in the great Qin nation for 10,000 years. Xiao! A boundless aura suddenly condensed. The instant the spear tip was thrust forward, the entire space seemed to freeze. All the aura gathered on the spear tip. Xiao Chen's eyelids drooped slightly. He focused his gaze on Inu, who was a kilometer away. Then, he held the lunar shadow saber horizontally across his chest. Inu, who was a kilometer away, appeared in front of Xiao Chen in the next instant. She did not even change her posture as she pressed her spear against the lunar shadow saber's scabbard. Such a scene happened in an instant. If one did not know what had happened, it would look like Xiao Chen had placed his saber horizontally across his chest and Inu purposely struck that spot. Dang! A clear and loud sound of collision resounded through the world. As the loud sound waves spread out, the world instantly changed color and became extremely dark. An earth-shattering force surged out from the spear tip. The scarlet clouds below the throne churned continuously. In the end, the scarlet throne Xiao Chen sat on did not move at all. Bang! Xiao Chen pushed his left hand forward. After knocking Inu back, Xiao Chen said softly, "One move." Inu's expression changed. She swung the grand imperial spear in the air like a staff, hacking down at Xiao Chen. Roar! 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 Countless golden dragon images appeared behind Inu. The grand imperial spear seemed to have 10,000 dragon images circling it. It carried a supreme dragon might as it descended on Xiao Chen. Seeing the boundless dragon images, Xiao Chen had a thought. The 18 blue dragon tattoos on his body surged. All 360 acupoints on his body burst open. Azure-colored dragon chi spread throughout his body, roaring endlessly. Its might was no weaker than the dragon chi passed down in the great Qin nation for 10,000 years. Dang! Xiao Chen held the lunar shadow saber in his left hand and struck the throne with the tip of the scabbard. The 18 blue dragons immediately left his body. It circled above Xiao Chen's head, blocking Inu's spear strike, which contained a vast dragon might and raging endlessly. Xiao Chen said calmly, "2 moves." Inu clenched her teeth, and a golden flame started burning in the depths of her eyes. A dragon-shaped flame quickly circled around the grand imperial spear. The spear trembled, and a golden dragon-shaped flame spewed out. This was one of the famous 4 great dragon flames. In Xiao Chen's eyes, the purple pure yang attributed flame in his right eye and the purple thunder true fire started burning fiercely. The pale white lunar true fire in his left eye also started burning slowly. 2 flames of opposing attributes appeared from nowhere, carrying an origin flame. Yin and yang merged together. The 2 flames formed a taiji diagram in front of Xiao Chen. Under Xiao Chen's exquisite control, the 2 extreme yin and yang flames merged naturally and smoothly, there were no obstructions at all. Boom! The 2 flames in the taiji yin-yang diagram were like U's, flowing quickly. When the tyrannical dragon flames crashed into them, they did not cause any ripples. Xiao Chen pushed his right hand forward, and the taiji yin-yang flame diagram immediately gave off a bright light. A surging energy surged out and blasted the golden dragon flames into countless sparks. Under the dark sky, the golden sparks were like fireflies scattering in the air. It was very beautiful. When the dragon flame was broken, Inu vomited blood from a corner of her mouth. Her beautiful face immediately turned pale. She looked very sad and beautiful in the sky full of golden fireflies. 3 moves are over, Xiao Chen said calmly. He waved his right hand, and the 2 U's swimming speed in the taiji yin-yang flame diagram suddenly increased explosively. Go! Xiao Chen shouted, and the taiji yin-yang flame diagram flickered in the air. Then, it arrived before Inu. Inu brandished her spear and created an impenetrable barrier of light before her chest. Bang! 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 Before the taiji yin-yang flame diagram, the barrier of light only lasted for a moment before shattering. The battle armor on Inyu's body instantly cracked, and a small item flew out. Inyu vomited another large mouthful of blood as she looked at the item falling from the air. Shock flashed on Inyu's pale face. Ignoring her severely injured body, she quickly flew towards that item. Xiaochen shook his head inside. How can you be so distracted during a duel? Ignorant. After resting for a while, he could use the laws of heaven and earth again. Xiaochen stretched out his hand just as Inyu was about to touch that item. The formless and irresistible laws of heaven and earth pulled Inyu's body back to Xiaochen. Xiaochen pointed at Inyu's dantian and crippled her cultivation. Finally, he sealed all her meridians, preventing her from moving. Who? The 10,000 Saber Sect's fleet had already flown over. Lan Chou arrived before Xiaochen first. When he saw the blood on Xiaochen's lips, he exclaimed, "Master, are you injured?" Xiaochen did not answer the other party's question. He tossed Inyu to him and said, "Send someone to watch her. The two experts of the royal court have already been crippled. I'll leave the remaining soldiers to you. I'll wait for your news before night falls." Lan Chou quickly said respectfully, "I swear I will not disappoint you." After the 10,000 Saber Sect's fleet flew far away, Xiaochen opened his hand and sucked the small item that Inyu had been chasing after before she was defeated into his palm. The huge statue of the founding emperor stood in the vast drill ground of the Great Qin nation's imperial palace. The statue was a kilometer tall and looked very majestic. Chapter 485. The first emperor, Ingzheng, held the grand imperial spear in his hand. His aura swallowed the mountains and rivers as he pointed it at the sky. As Xiaochen stood on the head of the sculpture, he had a complicated expression. It was unknown what he was thinking. Xiaochen did not know when it started, but he had gotten used to the feeling of standing at the peak. He was used to the power that allowed him to stand at the peak. However, at this moment, he had some doubts. Xiaochen held a wooden sculpture in his hand. The sculpture depicted a girl with a faint smile on her face. She wore a red floral dudu, looking like a little girl. The person who carved this sculpture was the first princess, Inyu. However, something had flattened the sensitive area of her chest. A good sculpture had been destroyed, just like that. Xiaochen vaguely remembered that many years ago, when he offended Inyu in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, he had to carve a sculpture for her every month. Every month, they had to carve a statue for each other. Furthermore, they had to dress up differently. They were not allowed to be lazy or slack off, and they were not allowed to be half-hearted. During that period of time, cultivation was extremely tight. However, Xiaochen did his best to take time to complete this somewhat difficult task. Xiaochen carved a total of 10 sculptures. Every one of them was much better than the one in his hand. However, he did not know why Inyu was so fond of this sculpture. The sculpture lay flat on his palm. With just a thought, Xiaochen could easily shatter it. Xiaochen's previously resolute eyes showed some confusion. He felt like his mind was in chaos. It seemed like he had forgotten something very important. A figure flickered in the distance, quickly flying towards Xiaochen. Xiaochen narrowed his eyes and turned incomparably grave and stern again. Then, he opened his hand and placed the wooden sculpture in his sleeve. "Master, we have finished counting all the natural treasures in the palace. We have also seized the accumulations of some of the large clans in the imperial capital." Lan Chou stood below Xiaochen as he spoke with an excited expression. It looked like the harvest this time was not small. Xiaochen said calmly, "Report the number. We have obtained a total of 50 million medial-grade spirit stones and 200,000 superior-grade spirit stones. There are also some medicinal pills and spirit herbs. There are countless of them." Xiaochen nodded and said, "Well done. Hand them over." Without any hesitation, Lan Chou took out 10 space rings and handed them over respectfully. There were simply too many treasures. A good space ring could not hold them all. 10 space rings were barely enough. There were also some miscellaneous items that could not be included. 10 spatial rings floated quietly in front of Xiao Chen. Lan Chou knew that he shouldn't stay here, so he quickly took his leave. With a thought from Xiao Chen's spiritual sense, he immediately drew out all the 50 million medial-grade spirit stones in his spatial ring. Instantly, the sky was filled with medial-grade spirit stones. Shatter! Xiao Chen shouted, and 50 million medial-grade spirit stones exploded at the same time, turning into viscous spiritual liquid that filled the air. Standing on the head of the statue of Yingzheng, Xiao Chen spread his palm slightly, and the energy that blotted the sky turned into a huge whirlpool, starting to refine and purify them. The huge spiritual liquid whirlpool stirred in the air, and the surging spiritual energy fluctuations caused the heaven and earth to change color. In the sky above the imperial capital, the clouds for 5 kilometers around churned continuously, spitting out a great scene. The winds and clouds changed, looking like the sky would collapse at any moment. Xiao! The change in the sky lasted for a long time before it finally ended. Xiao Chen refined the 50 million medial-grade spirit stones into a small, exquisite medicinal pill. Opening his mouth, Xiao Chen directly swallowed the medicinal pill. The medicinal pill melted in his mouth and flowed into his dantian like a vast sea. Xiao Chen closed his eyes and started to refine this energy. A strong aura surged around him. A strong wind howled without end, and lightning flashed continuously. After 15 minutes, Xiao Chen opened his eyes, and a bright light shone from them. I am just a step away from obtaining Emperor Wu. After I use the spirit gathering formation, I should be able to reach that threshold. He was only one step away from becoming the youngest Emperor Wu in history. Even the Thunder King back then could not compare to him. Not to mention the great Qin nation's first emperor below him. Xiao Chen gently tapped with his finger, and 200,000 superior-grade spirit stones formed a huge spirit-gathering formation under Xiao Chen's control. Xiao Chen sat cross-legged in the center of the formation, and the formation markings gave off a bright light. Immediately, spiritual rain fell from the sky. After the large formation is exhausted, the scattered doors should open for me. Outside the ancient desolate tower, a dim light suddenly flashed in the 5th floor. Everyone's gazes paused and they quickly looked carefully. It was Chu Chaoyun crushing his jade pendant at the last moment. He had given up on the test in the Door of Desire and was directly ejected. It was unknown what Chu Chaoyun experienced in the Door of Desire, but his expression was sullen. After he landed, he ignored everyone and left the Tianwu Plaza without looking back. Shi Hailong frowned slightly and said, "There is only one person left. It looks like that person is really Xiao Chen. However, there are only 7 or 8 minutes left. If he does not come out soon, he will be completely trapped in there." Someone at the side said, "There is still a chance. After all, the time in the Door of Desire is different from the time in reality. 15 minutes for us might be several days for him." Shi Hailong nodded gently and smiled. "That's true. There is still a chance. I hope he can comprehend it and dare to let it go. As long as he really lets it go, he can turn back immediately." Li Xiuzhu, who was at the side, smiled coldly and said, "How can it be that easy to let it go? His obsession with power is so deep. He can summon the wind and summon the rain in there, unrivaled. How can he let go of the feeling of having power in his hands so easily? The calmer he is, the deeper he will sink in there. I believe that he might be trying to break through to Emperor Wu in there. Ha ha! That is a cultivator's lifelong goal. He is just one step away from it. Will he give up?" Li Xiuzhu's words were very unpleasant to hear. However, everyone knew that he was right. The feeling of having power in his hands was not something that could be let go easily. Just wait and see. In another 15 minutes, this brat will not be able to come out. He is destined to sink in there forever, Li Xiuzhu continued smiling coldly. Hearing this, the cultivators who were on good terms with Xiao Chen all showed worried expressions. In the space of desire, the spiritual rain poured down for 5 days and 5 nights before it slowly stopped. A spiritual fire descended from Xiao Chen's body. The entire formation immediately burned up, turning into nothing. Chi! Chi! Suddenly, a golden light lit up on Xiao Chen's body. At first, this golden light was not very obvious. However, towards the end, it became increasingly resplendent. His clothes, skin, hair, every strand of his body was dyed golden, dazzling and resplendent. Xiao Chen opened his eyes. His black pupils turned golden as well. He gazed into the boundless sky. At the end of the horizon, an open door appeared. Tsang! 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 Steps slowly appeared under the door, extending to a meter in front of Xiao Chen. This was the path of a martial emperor. At the end of the path was the peak of cultivators. As long as Xiao Chen pushed open that door, he would be able to stand above the peak of cultivators. Looking at the shining golden door, a fiery light appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes. He got up and walked up the stairs. Clang! Suddenly, the wooden sculpture in Xiao Chen's sleeve fell out and landed on the stairs. It swayed for a long time before it slowly came to a stop. Xiao Chen's gaze paused for a moment, and he slowly retracted his foot. Given his cultivation realm, it was impossible for this sculpture to fall out of his sleeve. The only possibility was that Xiao Chen's heart had become unstable. That was how it could have happened. How can this be? My heart is focused on the great Tao. It is as firm as a rock. I have waited for this moment for more than 10 years. Now that my goal is before me, why is my heart still fluctuating? Am I unable to forget in the end? All this while, Xiao Chen knew that he had forgotten something very important. However, for the sake of the great Tao in his heart, even though he knew that it was very important, he was not willing to think about it. This was because if he thought about it, he might lose the power to destroy the world. He could not afford to gamble on it, nor was he willing to gamble on it. However, no matter how he lied to himself, Xiao Chen told himself that he actually cared a lot about the things he had forgotten. After seeing Yingyu's sculpture, this care had unknowingly seeped into the depths of his heart. Xiao Chen closed his eyes, and there was a huge battle in his mind. If he stepped on this path to heaven, he would be able to ascend to the great Tao and truly stand at the peak of cultivation. However, once he stepped on it, he would never be able to remember the things he had forgotten. Leave no regrets. Suddenly, Xiao Chen heard these 4 words in his mind. He did not know where that voice came from, but he suddenly remembered it. Leave no regrets, leave no regrets. Xiao Chen muttered these 4 words twice in his heart. Then, he suddenly felt enlightened, and a smile appeared on his face. If I really forget some important things, even if I ascend to the great Tao, it will be a lifelong regret. With regrets, my mental state will never be perfect. If my mental state is not perfect, I will never be able to climb to the limits of martial emperors. I cannot leave any regrets in my heart. Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes, and the golden light in them immediately vanished. His eyes became clear, and the golden light on his body quickly vanished as well. In the end, all the golden light scattered. Xiao Chen, dressed in white, regained his calm. Pa! The open door instantly closed, and the path to heaven shattered into pieces. Only the wooden sculpture remained, drifting down alone. Xiao Chen grabbed the sculpture and leaped down. With a few flashes, he arrived in the room where Yingyu was locked in. Yingyu was very weak due to the seal. It was like a cool breeze could blow her away. When she saw Xiao Chen outside, she said coldly, "Why are you not searching for your great Tao? Why are you here?" Xiao Chen gently tossed the wooden sculpture to Yingyu and replied, "The great Tao is important. However, there are some things that are even more important than the great Tao. For example, this." Yingyu caught the wooden sculpture and looked at Xiao Chen in shock. She said, "You still remember this wooden sculpture?" Xiao Chen smiled gently. The usually stern expression on his fair face now turned gentle. He said, "I remember. I will never forget it." At this moment, Xiao Chen completely let go. Right after he spoke, his body turned into many afterimages and slowly vanished from this space of desire. Chapter 486. Ha ha. There are still 10 breaths of time. This fellow probably will not be able to come out. Elder Shur, I think we can announce the end of this trial of the ancient desolate tower. There is no need to wait any longer. Li Xiuzhu said to Shur Hailong with a faint smile. Shur Hailong looked coldly at Li Xiuzhu and said, Li Xiuzhu, you seem to have a strong opinion of this Xiao Chen. I heard that he once used an engraved card to participate in the selection. However, you obstructed him in every possible way and made things difficult for him. The trial of the ancient desolate land represents the luck of the Heavenly Extermination Union. The higher it goes, the more luck the Heavenly Extermination Union will have. The 5 lords are watching from the sky. You know what you've done. The lords can see it too. Li Xiuzhu's heart skipped a beat, but his expression did not change. He said disdainfully, ha ha. Without any evidence, Elder Shur had better not say anything. Furthermore, he is someone who cannot even clear the 5th floor. What is there to look forward to? Elder Shur, that light dot seems to be coming out. An elder said in a trembling voice as he pointed to the 5th floor of the ancient desolate tower. Shur Hailong ignored Li Xiuzhu and quickly looked over. He saw a flickering spot of light on the 5th floor of the ancient desolate tower. If it was not the last person, who else could it be, Xiao Chen? Ha ha ha. We have passed the 5th floor and reached the 6th floor. Regardless of the outcome, the Heavenly Extermination Union's 100 years of luck will be preserved. Shur Hailong paused for a moment before laughing heartily. The ancient desolate tower had existed since the ancient era. No one knew who built it or why it was built. However, the ancient desolate tower that Xiao Chen knew was the same as the Great Jin Nation's wind cloud platform. They were the most wondrous structures in the Tianmu continent. They controlled the illusory luck. The higher one went, the more luck that person would obtain. The reason the Heavenly Extermination Union organized the desolate ancient trial was to entrust their luck to that person. The higher they climbed, the more luck the Heavenly Extermination Union would obtain. As the leader of this trial, Shur Hailong would naturally receive more benefits. It has been close to 1,000 years since anyone has passed these 5 floors. Ever since the Thunder King and his group, the world of martial artists has been on the decline. However, the peak of prosperity is bound to fall, and the peak of decline is bound to rise. This is the law of the Great Tao. Now that someone has finally passed the 5th level, it can be considered an important sign of the prosperity of the Great Tao. The group of elders excitedly discussed with each other. They were grinning from ear to ear. Only Li Xiuzhu's complexion was pale. His fingers trembled, and his lips quivered. His eyes were filled with disbelief. The 5 fingers of his right hand clenched tightly. How could this kid really pass the 5th level? Back then, she had humiliated him in public and mocked him for overestimating himself. But now, it had really happened in front of her eyes. An inferior-grade martial king that Xiao Chen strongly opposed had overcome all obstacles and obtained 100 consecutive victories, defeating many experts and obtaining one of the 20 spots. Now, he had reached a height that no one had been able to reach in the past 1,000 years. If his luck was a bit better, he would be able to pass a few more layers. It would not be impossible for him to reach the heights that the Thunder King achieved back then. When Li Xiuzhu thought of all this, he felt his scalp go numb. He no longer had the disdain he had earlier. He said in a trembling voice, Elder Shur, I suddenly feel unwell. I intend to take my leave first. Shur Hailong revealed a playful smile. He turned his head and said, Old Li, are you not going to keep watching? Who knows, you might be able to clear a few more layers. The people at the side also smiled and said, Indeed, you are perfectly fine. Why do you feel unwell? Could it be that you have a guilty conscience? Li Xiuzhu's face flushed red. He said sternly, Nonsense. This old man is magnanimous. Let's not talk about it. Goodbye. Shur Hailong's expression turned cold as he watched Li Xiuzhu leave. He said in a frosty voice, Keep a close eye on him. If Xiao Chen really reaches the 7th or 8th layer, immediately restrain him. Punish him for harming the Heavenly Extermination Union's luck and harboring malicious intent. The hearts of the people at the side trembled. The Heavenly Extermination Union's internal structure was very complicated. Elder Shi was probably going to make use of this opportunity to get rid of Li Xiuzhu. Right after Li Xiuzhu spoke, the elders of Shi Hailong's faction immediately followed him out silently. Below the platform, Ding Fengqiu looked at the speck of light in the fifth layer. He smiled bitterly to himself and sighed, "Desire is hard to break, as hard as ascending to heaven." We all shrink back at the sight of it. Chu Chaoyun was eliminated in a sorry state. I did not expect him to pass so quickly. In the future, the gap between us will only widen. Zhuo Mo's expression was also very complicated. He smiled and said, "The trial of the ancient desolate tower for 20 people ended up being a one-man show for him. After this matter, his title as the strongest person of the four nations will be well deserved." The participants who obtained a spot together looked at the flickering speck of light in the ancient desolate tower. They all had different expressions, some were envious, some were jealous, and others were all different. There were also people who felt conflicted and hesitated. The Holy Fire Manor's Ling Yun was one of them. Back then, he already knew that I was the one who attacked him. Given his character, he will definitely not let things slide. He took my Holy Flame's origin flame. I have not settled this debt with him yet. I cannot wait for him to mature. I have to plan properly. Ling Yun's eyes flickered as he looked at the speck of light in the ancient desolate tower. A chill flashed in his eyes as he quietly left the crowd and headed for the Holy Fire Manor's branch in Desolate City. Inside the ancient desolate tower, Xiaoqun stood in a daze before the door of desire. He closed his eyes and thought back to his earlier hazy experiences. As he stood before the door of light, he did not move for a long time. Is this the desire from the bottom of my heart? In order to become unscrupulous, cold and emotionless, without any guts, I gambled everything on it. It is not worth it. Xiaoqun opened his eyes and muttered, "It is not worth it. The great Tao is hard to seek, and the peak is hard to reach. What I seek is to not have any regrets. Be it the past, the present, or the future, I will not have any regrets. No matter what, I will not become like that." Xiaoqun's expression turned grave as he drew his lunar shadow saber. Qi! 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 Saber qi flew everywhere, and 4 large words appeared on the walls of the 5th floor. Not leaving regrets. Xiaoqun sheathed his saber and revealed a faint smile. He had not obtained any substantial benefits from this 5th floor. All he obtained were these 4 words. However, these 4 words were more important to Xiaoqun than any cultivation technique, martial technique, or natural treasure. After Xiaoqun destroyed his desire, his mental state would be completely perfected. From now on, he would not have to go astray on the path of cultivation. He had dealt with a heart demon in advance. After Xiaoqun sorted out his emotions, he gently leaped up and passed through the light of the 5th floor, heading for the 6th floor. Who? The moment he landed, Xiaoqun discovered himself in a vast snowy plain. A cold wind howled, cutting at him like a knife. How cold! Xiaoqun's body trembled slightly. He quickly circulated his essence and forced out the cold qi that had seeped in. A snowstorm spread out in front, all he saw was white. In the boundless wind and snow, Xiaoqun vaguely saw a tightly shut door. A voice appeared in Xiaoqun's heart for no reason. Walk over and open that door. The voice sank deep into his heart, preventing him from suspecting it. Xiaoqun frowned slightly and muttered, "This cold qi does not seem to be able to hurt me. However, it is like a soft knife grinding on me. It will be a problem if I can endure it for a long time." This floor should be a test of a cultivator's willpower, to see if they could persevere and open that door. Xiaoqun stopped thinking about other problems and looked in the direction of the door. Then, he slowly made his way forward. It was as Xiaoqun expected. At the start, he moved very quickly, covering 5 kilometers in one breath. However, slowly, his legs became heavy. The cold qi penetrated his bones, and his lips turned pale. The resistance of his essence weakened. Every step he took became incredibly difficult. Xiao Qin remained silent as he walked alone. He did not complain at all. There was only one belief in Xiao Chen's heart. As long as he did not stop, no matter how slow he was, he would eventually finish the heavenly road. After some time, Xiao Chen's eyes glazed over, and his entire body stiffened. He was so cold that he did not have any temper at all. Suddenly, that door appeared in front of him. "Pa!" Without hesitation, Xiao Chen pushed open the door. When he saw the scene behind the door, his originally relaxed expression turned bitter. "I just passed the ice mountain, and now there is a sea of fire." "Hu Qi!" The instant the door opened, a warm current surged over. Under the quick exchange of hot and cold, Xiao Chen felt like his bones were about to shatter. Xiao Chen's physical body was exceptionally strong. Even so, he felt this way. It was easy to imagine how an ordinary cultivator would react in such a situation. They would probably crush their jade pendant and give up on this test. A bright red land filled Xiao Chen's vision. Cracks spread out on the ground, each one the length of an arm. As the hot air surged, lava gushed out. When Xiao Chen looked ahead, he could vaguely see flames rising up. Without any hesitation, Xiao Chen raised his leg and stepped in, heading forward without stopping. After walking for a while, the blood flame shoes burned like they were in a furnace. They were so hot that blisters appeared on Xiao Chen's feet. Enduring the intense pain, Xiao Chen frowned heavily. He appeared to be in extreme pain. He wished he could immediately throw off the shoes and walk barefoot. However, his rationality overcame his impulse. The blood flame shoes were medial-grade secret treasures. They could more or less block heat. If he threw them away and walked barefoot, he would suffer even more damage. Chapter 487. This place was the same as the snowy plains in front. He could not fly, he could only walk on foot. Sweat covered Xiao Chen's entire body. He felt dizzy and his vision blurred. The heat was unbearable. The blisters on Xiao Chen's feet had all burst, leaving only a layer of bloody skin. With every step Xiao Chen took, the bloody skin rubbed against Xiao Chen's shoes intensely. That kind of pain was even more torturous than being cut by a saber. It felt like thousands of ants were wriggling on Xiao Chen's feet. The world was like a huge furnace. Xiao Chen continued to walk alone. Even if he was in pain or tired, he did not stop. Xiao Chen calmly analyzed the situation in his heart. He was certain that this place tested one's willpower. It would not be too dangerous for him to die, but it would not let him walk in peace either. It would continuously whip him, grind him, and bring him inhuman pain. It wanted him to stop, to give up. As Xiao Chen walked, the blood in his shoes dripped on the ground. It made it look like he was leaving a trail of blood behind him. Xiao Chen was like a pilgrim, walking forward with the faith in his heart. Everyone only had one chance to enter the ancient desolate tower. Xiao Chen's fatal weakness was his low cultivation. Now that the opportunity was right before him, he could not leave any regrets. Ta! 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 After walking for an unknown amount of time, Xiao Chen lost all sense of time. Suddenly, a large door appeared in front of him. Xiao Chen pushed the door open numbly and looked forward. He saw a mountain filled with sabers. A large door stood quietly at the top of the mountain. Xiao Chen took heavy steps and entered. He smiled coldly and said, "A mountain of sabers, a sea of flames, a plain of absolute cold. I want to see what other inconceivable things there are that I cannot pass." Xiao Chen could not fly through the air on the mountain filled with sabers. He could only rely on the strength of his physical body to climb up the sabers. Xiao Chen's body, which was already in a sorry state, immediately became badly mutilated. It was a tragic sight, and the pain was unbearable. The test of this stage was very miraculous. No matter how it changed, there was only one thing that did not change. There would never be a situation where one would die. It would just continuously torture one, dampen one's spirit, and wear down one's willpower. As long as one did not stop, this torture would continue, forcing one to give up on the trial. After Xiao Chen crossed the Saber Mountain with much difficulty, he pushed open the door. Like before, what awaited him was not victory but a swamp filled with poisonous gas. Dragging his battered body, Xiao Chen relied on his strong willpower to continue on fearlessly. The poisonous gas spread out, rotting his body. Xiao Chen's body looked as if it were a snake. He fell. And he fell into the mud a few times. One step at a time, one footprint at a time. At this moment, Xiao Chen was already in a daze. He could not even distinguish the path under his feet. He fell into the mud a few times. It took a lot of effort to climb out, and then continued on his journey. Xiao Chen that as he go, Xiao Chen as before, he was as he could as he wanted. Xiao Chen's face. After all these dangers, Xiao Chen was already numb to them. He smiled bitterly and continued on his way. All sorts of dangers appeared continuously. Behind every door was an unimaginable danger. However, Xiao Chen passed through them all. This continued until the 9th door. After Xiao Chen pushed it open weakly, there was no danger waiting for him. A gentle light enveloped him. The holy white light was like immortal-grade spirit liquid. It quickly healed Xiao Chen's wounds. All his fatigue was swept away, and his entire body felt indescribably comfortable. The sudden return of happiness after all the torture was intoxicating. He did not want to wake up for a long time. After the light faded, Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes and clenched his fists tightly. After this ordeal, the strength of his physical body actually increased again. Looking at his new skin, Xiao Chen revealed a joyful expression. He said softly, "Not only did my strength increase, but my physical body's defense also increased. Unfortunately, I do not have a chance to test it now." When the clouds parted, the moon shone brightly. Xiao Chen's perseverance finally paid off. He did not mistreat Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen sized up his surroundings. This should be the 6th floor of the ancient desolate tower. There were statues that looked no different from real people in front of him. When he counted them, there were about 100 of them. When Xiao Chen's gaze landed on the first statue in the row at the very front, his expression suddenly froze. That statue wore white robes and a blue strip of cloth on its head. Its gaze was cold, and there was a calm expression on its face. Its arms were crossed, and an ancient saber was casually held in front of its chest. Who else could it be if not him? Suppressing the doubts in his heart, Xiao Chen continued looking forward. He did not recognize many of the statues. However, the few that he did recognize were all legendary experts of the various nations. As Xiao Chen looked further down, he even saw the statue of the Thunder King, Sangmu, standing there quietly. Xiao Chen muttered, "It looks like the people who passed the test of will on the 6th floor will leave behind a statue here." However, I did not expect that after thousands of years, only 100 people managed to pass the 6th floor. Outside the ancient desolate tower, Shi Hailong and the others on the tall platform had excited expressions on their faces. This was because Xiao Chen had given them another pleasant surprise. He had cleared the 6th floor and was now heading to the 7th floor. Shi Hailong smiled happily and said, "After clearing the 6th floor, one can leave behind an ordinary wool statue. That can be considered as carrying some of the ancient desolate tower's luck. This is the best reward for cultivators on this floor." He has already reached the 7th floor. As long as he goes up another floor, he will be able to reach the height of the Thunder King from 1,000 years ago. This fellow might really be able to create a legend. One of the Heavenly Extermination Union's elders said excitedly. When Shi Hailong heard this, his expression became much calmer. He smiled and said, "Don't overthink this. It is rare for someone like the Thunder King to appear in 10,000 years. In the end, Xiao Chen is still a distance away. If he can reach the 7th floor, it will be a great help to the Heavenly Extermination Union." The 7th floor, that is filled with the wool statues left behind by Emperor Wu. How could Emperor Wu's test be so easy to clear? Sure, Hailong sighed softly. He felt that it was unfortunate that Xiao Chen's cultivation was still too low. If he had another 2 years, he would definitely be stronger than Xiao Chen. If he had another 2 years, he would be a half-step martial monarch. With his combat talent, he would have a 70% chance of clearing Emperor Wu's test. However, he had come too early. His chances were still very slim. Dee-da. Dee-da. Xiao Chen's body passed through the mysterious light of the ancient desolate tower. Drops of pure essence fell continuously from the purple qi whirlpool, which had already expanded by half. This lasted for 3 minutes. In these 3 minutes, Xiao Chen's cultivation had increased by half a year, stabilizing his cultivation as a medial-grade martial king. Xiao Chen landed firmly on the ground and appeared on the 7th floor of the ancient desolate tower. He could feel the vast energy in his body. Xiao Chen revealed a satisfied smile. It was worth the price he paid to climb up to the 7th floor. Just the increase in his cultivation from the 7th floor's light brought him boundless benefits. He had closed the gap between him and the genius cultivators of the same generation. I will go up and try to reach peak medial-grade martial king. I only have one chance to come to this ancient desolate tower. I cannot waste it. Xiao Chen said resolutely in his heart. He wanted to see the scenery of the 8th floor. Back then, the Thunder King could reach the 8th floor. Xiao Chen could do the same. Xiao Chen looked around the 7th floor. Then, 10 human-sized statues appeared before Xiao Chen's eyes. These statues were different from the statues on the 6th floor. With a cursory glance, Xiao Chen could feel the boundless aura contained in these statues. These statues were also different from the martial sage statues on the 2nd floor. The aura and bearing of these statues were far superior to the will statues of martial sages. As Xiao Chen stood before the statues, it was like the statues in front of him were real people. It was as if the people in front of them were real people. Their gazes were deep and distant, and they didn't dare to look at them directly. Xiao Chen thought for a while and said softly, they should be will statues as well. However, will statues are divided into different grades. The statues on the 6th floor are the most ordinary will statues. The ones on the 2nd floor are the sage statues left by martial sages. The ones on the 7th floor are probably martial emperors. When Xiao Chen thought of this possibility, he could not help but feel a deep sense of respect when he looked at the statues again. Emperor, the pinnacle of martial cultivation, the peak of the great Tao. This was what all cultivators pursued their entire lives. It represented glory, represented the peak, and most importantly, represented strength. Every Emperor Wu was a legend. In the Tianwu continent for thousands of years, there had not been any news of anyone stepping into the realm of Emperor Wu. The legends of Emperor Wu were left behind by the older generation sages. However, the older generation Emperor Wu had already vanished from the Tianwu continent. After the Thunder King fell 1,000 years ago, there had been no more news of an emperor appearing. It was like all the martial emperors had disappeared. Now that Xiao Chen personally saw the will statues left by Emperor Wu, the fluctuations in Xiao Chen's heart could be easily imagined. As Xiao Chen carefully sized up the will statues, he suddenly gasped. His gaze stopped on the 4th statue from the left. Bai Shuihe. This statue wore blue battle armor and carried a dragon-toothed saber on its back. It looked exactly the same as Bai Shuihe on the 2nd floor. The only difference was that the pressure it gave Xiao Chen was on a completely different level. Xiao Chen's attitude toward Bai Shuihe could not help but rise to another level. The will of Bai Shuihe on the 2nd floor was like a great teacher. Rather than calling it a test, it was more like a senior bladesman giving pointers to his juniors. As they chatted, Xiao Chen benefited a lot. Unexpectedly, he saw Bai Shuihe's statue again on this floor. Such a heroic person with such a breadth of mind was able to reach the level of Emperor Wu. Xiao Chen felt gratified as well. He quickly stepped forward and pointed at the other party's forehead. Brat, choose me. How is this by face attractive? I will show you what a true bladesman is. Just as Xiao Chen's finger was about to tap the statue's forehead, the thunderous voice of the first statue from the right, a man holding a thick saber, rang out. "Ha! Old Lei, don't be envious. With your looks, no one will choose you. Ha ha ha." Chapter 488. Bai Shuehe, who was in front of Xiao Chen, seemed to come to life. He laughed loudly and pointed at Xiao Chen's forehead at lightning speed. Boom! Boom! The surroundings shook and Xiao Chen's vision turned blurry for a moment. After a while, he found himself in a chaotic space. With his previous experience, Xiao Chen was not too surprised. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, "This junior Xiao Chen greets senior again." Bai Shuehe raised his eyebrows and a formless light flashed in his eyes. It was like he could see through everything about Xiao Chen, there were no secrets at all. "No wonder you chose me. It turns out that you already shattered my wool statue on the second floor. Why do you want to shatter my wool statue on this floor as well?" Bai Shuehe said calmly as he looked at Xiao Chen with a smile that did not seem like a smile. Xiao Chen said somewhat embarrassedly, "How could that be? I just wanted to ask senior for guidance. I hope that I can pass the test of this floor." Bai Shuehe said somewhat angrily, "Young man, don't be so humble. You can be more confident. Since you can shatter my sage statue, you might be able to shatter my emperor statue. You don't even have this much confidence and you still want to go to the 8th floor? The 8th floor is filled with the wool statues of king-grade martial emperors. I'll ask you one more time whether you are confident or not." Bai Shuehe's tone suddenly turned heavier. He shouted his last sentence, causing Xiao Chen to feel an inexplicable pressure in his heart. Xiao Chen nearly blurted out the words. However, when the words reached his mouth, he suddenly realized it and was startled. The other party was the bona fide Saber Emperor Wu. Xiao Chen was just an insignificant martial king. If he said he was confident he could shatter the other party's statue, he would be overestimating himself. Xiao Chen stopped speaking and said softly, "Senior, you must be joking. A few moves would suffice. Why would this junior think of shattering your statue?" Seeing that Xiao Chen did not fall for his trap, the interest in Bai Shuehe's eyes intensified. He smiled and said, "That's right. If you had really said that there were words, the number of moves you could exchange with me would have increased from 10 to 20. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he didn't say the word yes. Comparing 20 moves to 10 moves, it was twice as long. However, on account of the fact that you've shattered my saint statue, I've decided to give you 20 pointers. Bai Shuehe changed the topic and smiled slyly. Xiao Chen felt depressed in his heart. It turned out that Xiao Chen was toying with him. His image of a martial emperor in his heart immediately fell to rock bottom. Who would have thought that Emperor Wu would have this kind of bad taste, toying with a junior? Bai Shuehe frowned and said, "What's wrong? You look very happy. Add another 10 moves." Xiao Chen's expression immediately became conflicted. He hurriedly said, "How am I happy? It's nothing." Bai Shuehe nodded and said, "I, the great Emperor Wu, am here to give you pointers, yet you are still angry. Brat, you don't know what's good for you. Add another 10 moves." Xiao Chen was utterly speechless. He did not say anything more. This Bai Shuehe's character before and after he became a martial emperor was too different. When Bai Shuehe saw Xiao Chen's conflicted expression, he laughed loudly again. His face was filled with joy as he said, "Brat, I was just fooling you. The test of this stage is not about exchanging a few moves." "Then what is the test of this stage?" Xiao Chen asked doubtfully. "There is a huge gap between Emperor Wu and a martial sage. As a bladesman, you choose me. 10 moves, 20 moves, or 1 move, there is no difference." Bai Shuehe withdrew his smile and said seriously, "You only need to receive 1 saber strike from me. If you do not die, you will pass. Do you dare?" "Do I dare to receive Emperor Wu's saber strike?" "Emperor Wu's saber strike?" Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. He quickly thought about it. Although it was said to be Emperor Wu's saber strike, the other party would definitely not use a cultivation that surpassed Xiao Chen's own. Otherwise, he would not even need to use one saber strike. With just a glance, the other party could use the natural laws to kill Xiao Chen. Then, there would be no need to talk about the test. However, this saber strike would definitely not be easy to receive. This was especially so when the other party said very clearly that he would pass if he did not die. What did he mean? Did he mean that Xiao Chen would not be able to break this saber strike? At most, it would just be a matter of injury. Naturally, Xiao Chen did not doubt the words of the peak Emperor Wu. However, he still asked uncertainly, "What if I die?" When Bai Shuihe heard that, he could not help but laugh loudly. "What else can I do if I die? Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Naturally, everything will be over. So, think carefully before you make your decision. Don't ever think that giving up is a very embarrassing thing. The strength of my saber strike will not surpass your cultivation. However, the difference between us is not as simple as cultivation. One saber strike, just one saber strike. As long as he passed this saber strike, he would be able to reach the 8th floor. However, this saber strike would really kill him. Once he agreed, there would be no more chances to give up. He would have to face death. Xiao Chen could not help but hesitate. At the juncture of life and death, no matter who faced such a situation, they would hesitate. This was especially so when the other party was a bona fide Emperor Wu. If someone really agreed without thinking about anything, that person might really not be far from death. Back then, the Thunder King was only 21 years old. His cultivation was slightly higher than mine. What did he think when faced with such a situation? Xiao Chen could not help but look at the lunar shadow saber in his hand. If Ao Jiao were here, given her experience, she would be able to give him an answer very quickly. At this moment, Xiao Chen could not help but reminisce about Ao Jiao. Back then, she accompanied the Thunder King all the way to the 8th floor, which no one had reached in 10,000 years. Her understanding of this ancient desolate tower was much clearer than Xiao Chen's. Should I accept this saber strike or not? Xiao Chen hesitated for the first time in his heart. Idiot, why do you not dare to accept it? It is fine as long as you do not die. Why are you so afraid? Suddenly, a melodious voice rang out in Xiao Chen's mind. He immediately rejoiced and said, Ao Jiao, when did you wake up? Within the lunar shadow saber, Ao Jiao habitually mocked, "Stop speaking nonsense. I took some time out of my busy schedule to give a piece of trash like you some pointers. Stop saying meaningless words. Just agree to him directly. He is just a minor heavenly Emperor Wu and he dares to put on airs to scare people." Xiao Chen blushed with shame in his heart. Regardless of what Emperor Wu is, he is still Emperor Wu. You look down on him, but he can destroy me with just a finger. Bai Shuihe, who was in front, saw the strange expression on Xiao Chen's face. A look of doubt flashed in his eyes. After a while, he said, "You who are hiding, come out." Xiao Chen stretched out his right hand and the lunar shadow saber in his hand started to tremble uncontrollably. It seemed like the lunar shadow saber would be drawn at any moment. Boom! Xiao Chen did his best but it was to no avail. There was a melodious sound and Ao Jiao's image was pulled out. When Bai Shuihe saw Ao Jiao's appearance, his expression relaxed. He smiled and said, "I was wondering why this fellow looked so familiar. So, you are the inheritor of Sangmu. Little Ao Jiao, after not seeing you for a few thousand years, you dare to look down on me, a minor heavenly senior. You are ambitious, ambitious." However, Ao Jiao's expression was very unhappy. She looked at Bai Shuihe and said gloomily, You have wasted a year's worth of hard work. Later, I will have to swallow up the sword spirit again. Bai Shuihe smiled calmly and said, "You have to pay a price for speaking ill of others behind their backs." Xiao Chen suddenly understood. Unexpectedly, the target of the Thunder King's challenge 3,000 years ago was Bai Shuihe as well. However, 3,000 years later, although the process was different, Xiao Chen was still stuck in Bai Shuihe's hands at the final hurdle. Bai Shuihe returned to Xiao Chen's side and said, "Now, there is no one to disturb you. You can decide for yourself. Receive a saber strike from me. Do you dare or not?" The instant Ao Jiao appeared, Xiao Chen had already made up his mind. When Bai Shuihe asked him again, Xiao Chen did not hesitate to nod and say, "I dare." Bai Shuihe smiled gently and did not say anything more. He placed his right hand on the saber hilt on his back. His gaze was like 10,000 sabers piercing towards Xiao Chen. It was extremely sharp. Ka Xie. Xiao Chen did not think too much about it. He immediately drew the lunar shadow saber and held it horizontally in front of his chest. He stared at Bai Shuihe's right hand, which was holding the saber hilt. The nervousness that Xiao Chen expected did not appear. In the instant before the battle, all of Xiao Chen's hesitation were tossed aside. His state of mind was incomparably calm. When Ao Jiao saw this scene, her bright eyes narrowed into a crescent moon shape. She revealed a faint smile on her face. A person who can draw the thunderwood sword is definitely not trash, Ao Jiao thought to herself. Xiao. Bai Shuihe's attack did not make Xiao Chen wait for long. When he said he would use one attack, it was one attack. He did not use his aura to pressure Xiao Chen, nor did he use his mental energy to destroy Xiao Chen's state of mind. This attack was just an ordinary chop, there was nothing fancy about it. Bai Shuihe leaped into the air and chopped down with a saber light. It was so simple that Xiao Chen found it inconceivable. This move is full of openings. I can break it with just a casual attack. Emperor Wu's attack is too laughable. That's not right. If it was so simple, why would there be a dead person? There must be some secret that I do not know. Let's continue watching. Xiao Chen's thoughts raced like lightning. After he analyzed everything, he discovered some tricks. The other party is wide open. As long as I stab his heart, I can force him to withdraw his saber and defend. However, he is holding his saber with one hand. The angle of his grip is at a 90-degree angle to his chest. When I attack his chest, the tip of the saber will turn. Given the length of his dragon-tooth saber, he will definitely be able to injure me first. When he flies, he is only 1.5 body lengths higher than me. His feet are spread apart, and he can change direction at any time. No matter where I retreat to, I will not be able to dodge. The direction of his attack looks like it is from above. However, the angle of his body is 30 degrees forward. Actually, this attack can also be seen as coming from below. The more Xiao Chen analyzed, the more tricks he found. The other party's attack seemed to have considered all the problems that could be considered. It was simple and unadorned. This was probably the principle behind the Great Tao being the simplest. When Bai Shuihe was only a martial sage, the four-season saber technique was ever-changing. The various states and mysterious phenomena dazzled the eyes. However, at the crucial moment, Xiao Chen could always think of a way to break it and even counterattack. However, now that the other party was at Emperor Wu's level, this simple attack gave one the feeling that it was unbreakable and unblockable. No wonder Xiao Chen said earlier that at his level, there was no difference between one attack and 10 attacks. This attack contained more than 10 kinds of saber techniques. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it contained thousands of saber techniques. I can't use the roaming dragon's 9 transformations. He can see through my true body with one glance. If he attacks from above, he can chop me in half. Chapter 489. The Wukue blossoms will not work either. The instant the flower buds combine, the saber light will reach my neck. The lightning evasion will take too long to execute. That will not work either. Thousands of thoughts flashed through Xiao Chen's mind. In an instant, faster than the blink of an eye, he thought of all the methods he could use to deal with this. However, he rejected all of them, none of them worked. Idiot, as long as I do not die, why would I not dare to receive it? When the saber light was 1 meter away from Xiao Chen remembered Ao Jiao's words. He suddenly felt enlightened and heaved a sigh of relief. I am really an idiot. There is no way I can dodge this saber strike, nor can I break it. Bai Shuihe had already made it clear long ago. As long as I do not die, it will be fine. In the end, before the battle, my thoughts were still the same as before, thinking about how to break it and how to dodge it. Xiao Chen did not know that he could not dodge this saber strike. He did not need to try to break it, he only needed to survive. However, it was not that easy to survive. If Xiao Chen tried to get lucky, he might end up dying even faster. However, this gave Xiao Chen a direction. Xiao. At the last moment, Xiao Chen did not advance. Instead, he retreated. He raised his saber and swung it at the opening in his opponent's chest. Bai Shuihe smiled faintly and thought to himself, I already told you to survive. Yet, you overestimate yourself and want to injure me. In that case, I can only send you on your way. Bai Shuihe turned his wrist unhurriedly and the saber moved downwards naturally, heading for Xiao Chen's neck. He did not even see Xiao Chen's attack. It is as I expected. This is not an opening. He does not even care about it. However, this is what I wanted. The throat is a vital point. If a regular cultivator gets hit by a saber strike, they will die. Naturally, Xiao Chen was no exception. Since he wanted to survive, he had to know which vital point his opponent was attacking. Once he confirmed it, it would be easy to deal with it. Xiao Chen let go of the lunar shadow saber and let it fall to the ground. He opened his right hand and smashed it against his opponent's saber. Puchi! The blade, which was only a centimeter away from his throat, was immediately pressed down by 3 centimeters. The saber radiance cut open a horrifying wound on his chest. It was so deep that his bones could be seen. Blood immediately spurted out. When the saber light entered his body, it stirred up his internal organs. Xiao Chen felt something sweet in his throat, and he could not help but vomit a mouthful of blood. His face was terrifyingly pale, but Xiao Chen's lips curled into a smile. He said, Senior, this strike multiplied the power of the blade to its peak. It is worthy of being Emperor Wu's blade strike. But in the end, I did not die. The expression on Bai Shuihe's face was slightly startled. The tip of his blade had clearly been a centimeter away from Xiao Chen's throat, but at the last moment, his opponent had forcibly pressed it down. Look, that dot of light is going up again. Xiao Chen has reached the 8th floor. The few elders who had been paying attention to Xiao Chen said excitedly. The higher Xiao Chen climbed, the more luck the Heavenly Extermination Union would obtain. Naturally, the benefits they would receive would be greater as well. Shi Hailong rubbed his eyes hard. He couldn't believe what he was seeing, even though he had full confidence in Xiao Chen. Who would have thought that he would really be able to pass the test of the 7th floor and reach the 8th floor? Even the Thunder King back then was no more than this. He really made it to the 8th floor. Incredible. Back then, when the Thunder King reached the 8th floor, he was already 21 years old. I heard that this Xiao Chen is not even 20 years old. From this point of view, has Xiao Chen already surpassed the Thunder King? What did I say? What did I say? I said long ago when he jumped over the first level that Xiao Chen would definitely surpass the Thunder King. But you didn't believe me. Now you're dumbfounded, aren't you? Up on the high platform, the old man who made the prediction about Xiao Chen was the most excited. The few people at the side said disdainfully, Old Ma, you were not so sure at that time. Now you only know how to be cocky. Shi Hailong withdrew his smile and nodded gently. Old Ma, make your preparations. Bring my words over. You can take down Li Shuzhu now. When the old man with the family name Ma heard this, he immediately said respectfully, Elder Shi, rest assured. Leave it to me. That old man with the family name Li will definitely not be able to escape. Everyone could predict that after this experiential training, Shi Hailong's position in the Heavenly Extermination Union would definitely rise. This was a good opportunity to curry favor with Sir Hailong. The few elders at the side looked at Elder Ma, who had left to carry out his orders. They revealed envious gazes. This was a good job. Elder Sher, do you have any instructions for us to carry out? The few of them asked with smiles. Sir Hailong paused for a while before smiling. It's fine. Just continue watching. This time, we managed to dig out a person like Xiao Chen because of everyone's hard work. I will make things clear to the 5 lords. The 8th floor of the ancient desolate tower was empty except for an ancient copper door in the center. It was unknown where the door led to. The copper door was tightly shut. Mysterious talisman scripts were embroidered on the door, giving off a faint spiritual light. Xiao Chen passed through the light of the 7th floor. Purple essence liquid dripped down for 10 minutes before stopping. When Xiao Chen landed, his cultivation had stabilized at peak medial grade Martial King. He could not help but reveal a wide smile. On this trip to the ancient desolate tower, he had finally closed the gap in his cultivation that he sought. When Xiao Chen's gaze fell on the copper door, he thought for a while before going over to take a look. Ao Jiao, who had followed Xiao Chen over, said, "Wait for a while. Recover from your injuries first. At the same time, try to comprehend Bai Shuihe's earlier saber strike. That saber strike contained all sorts of saber techniques. As long as you can comprehend a little, no one in the same generation will be able to block it." Xiao Chen stopped and thought about it. Bai Shuihe's move was definitely at the peak of the saber technique. Since there was not much time left, Xiao Chen should try to comprehend as much as he could. Xiao Chen sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes to meditate. A purple qi whirlpool spun, and a vast amount of essence nourished the wound on his chest. As Ao Jiao looked at the ancient copper door on the 8th floor, her expression became somewhat complicated. In the end, she sighed gently, feeling melancholic. After a while, Xiao Chen opened his eyes and looked at Ao Jiao. He said, "Ao Jiao, do you know what is behind the door?" Ao Jiao thought for a long time before saying, "Xiao Chen, let's stop here. Don't go up." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "All right, then I won't go up." When Ao Jiao saw that Xiao Chen answered so straightforwardly, she asked, "You are not going to ask why?" Xiao Chen smiled and said, "Why ask? If you want to tell me, you will naturally tell me. If you don't, it is pointless for me to ask. I just need to remember that you will not harm me. If you say no, then I won't go up." Ao Jiao felt warmth in her heart. She had not expected Xiao Chen to resist the temptation of the 9th floor so firmly, choosing to trust her. "It is as you said. I will not harm you. You should have gained a lot from being able to reach the 8th floor." Xiao Chen did not dwell on this matter anymore. Instead, he asked about something he was more concerned about. He asked, "Earlier, you said that you were going to swallow the weapon spirit again. What's going on?" When Ao Jiao heard this, she felt somewhat vexed. She said, "I still underestimated the skills of the Haotian sect. The weapon spirit in the lunar shadow saber was much stronger than I expected. Even after I swallowed it, it refused to merge with me. As a result, my progress in nourishing the divine weapon was extremely slow. Now, that person with the surname Bai pulled me out. That weapon spirit has broken free from my control again. I have to start over. However, don't worry. In the end, I am still in control." When Xiao Chen heard this, he relaxed. The two of them had not seen each other for a long time, so they started chatting on the 8th floor of the ancient desolate tower. When Ao Jiao arrived at the ancient desolate tower, she seemed to be in a good mood. She told Xiao Chen about the Thunder King's experiences in the past. "In just 3 years, you went from a cultivator to where you are today. It is really hard to imagine." Ao Jiao looked at the current Xiao Chen and thought about the Xiao Chen from 3 years ago. Then, she looked at the current him and sighed. Before Xiao Chen could feel proud, Ao Jiao mocked him, "However, you are still too weak. You cannot even defeat your own weapon spirit. Do your best, trashy master." Smiling gently, Ao Jiao turned into a beam of white light and returned to the lunar shadow saber. Xiao Chen shook his head and smiled bitterly. He glanced at the bronze doors and no longer lingered. Xiao Chen took out the jade pendant on his chest and gently crushed it. The instant the jade pendant shattered, Xiao Chen was immediately knocked out. Xiao! In the air, Xiao Chen, dressed in white with a blue strip of cloth on his forehead, slowly floated down. Shi Hailong had a wide smile on his face as he jumped off the tall platform. He led a group of elders to part the crowd and walked towards Xiao Chen with a smile. Xiao Chen, you have indeed not disappointed me. Since the Heavenly Extermination Union opened the trial of the ancient desolate tower, you are the second person to reach the 8th floor. Xiao Chen said politely, many thanks to Elder Shi and the Heavenly Extermination Union for giving me this opportunity. As Xiao Chen spoke, Xia Xian, Zuimo, Jiang Zimo, and the others all came over to congratulate Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen performed cupped fist salutes in return. At this moment, Shi Hailong appeared to be in high spirits, even more pleased than Xiao Chen. He gathered everyone together and said, I hereby announce that this trial of the ancient desolate tower has come to an end. I hope that everyone will not disappoint us 2 years from now and achieve even better results in the 5-nation youth competition. A bunch of trash. Do you really think that you are not trash after passing the ancient desolate tower? Xiao Chen, scram out here. I have been waiting for you for a long time. Just at this moment, a discordant voice rang out. Everyone looked up and saw Xie Ziwen and his master breaking through the Heavenly Extermination Union's blockade and forcefully arriving before the crowd. Shi Hailong's face sank. He looked at the old man behind Xie Ziwen and said, Gong Haoyu, no matter how much your evil moon pavilion calls the shots in the great Jin nation, don't forget that this is the ancient desolate land. The Heavenly Extermination Union has the final say here. Shi Hailong was extremely frustrated. Xiao Chen had just broken through to the 8th floor. This was a rare event that happened only once in 1,000 years. Unexpectedly, the two people that he did not want to see the most appeared before him. Gong Haoyu said coldly, I am not here today to cause trouble. It is just a conflict between the younger generation. Don't use the Heavenly Extermination Union to pressure me. Even if your union chief is here, I will still be in the right. Shi Hailong frowned slightly and asked, what are you trying to do? Gong Haoyu looked coldly at Xiao Chen and said, this brat caused my evil moon pavilion to lose the chance to compete for the ancient desolate tower. No matter what, I have to give him an explanation today. Xie Ziwen looked at Xiao Chen, who stood tall in the crowd. Hatred filled his eyes. If he had not been careless and lost to Xiao Chen, he would be the one enjoying such treatment now. Xiao Chen, do you dare to fight me again? Xie Ziwen shouted expressionlessly. Chapter 490. When Shi Hailong heard this, he was stunned. He immediately sent a voice projection to Xiao Chen, don't fall for his provocation. Your strength is about the same. He clearly knows that you became much stronger after entering the ancient desolate tower, yet he still challenged you. He must have some secret technique to increase his strength temporarily. The most important thing is that you just came out of the ancient desolate tower. You are blessed with great luck. If you lose, he will snatch away all the luck you accumulated in the ancient desolate tower. Don't fall for his provocation. In the future, when you grow stronger, you will be able to destroy him with just a flick of your finger. Shi Hailong's tone was very anxious. He said a lot in one breath, listing the pros and cons. He did his best to dissuade Xiao Chen from accepting the other party's challenge. However, Shi Hailong had no choice but to be cautious. If Xiao Chen lost, the Heavenly Extermination Union's luck would be damaged. If that happened, all his efforts would go to waste. The others, Xia Xian and Jiang Zimo, also advised, Xiao Chen, don't accept him. This fellow definitely came prepared. He is just waiting for you to jump in. When Xie Ziwen saw the silent Xiao Chen, he mocked, that is all the courage you have? To think that you dare to compete with the Thunder Emperor. Xiao Chen, you disappoint me. Xiao Chen took 2 steps forward and carefully sized up Xie Ziwen. Then, he said, as you wish. Get on the arena. Xie Ziwen laughed loudly and floated to the largest arena in the Tianwu Plaza. He put on an expression as though he already had Xiao Chen in the bag. He said, good, I was waiting for you to say that. When Shi Hailong heard this, he said anxiously, Xiao Chen, don't be rash. Xiao Chen waved his hand and said, Senior Shi, don't worry. I know what to do. Shi Hailong shook his head and sighed, not saying anything more. Xiao Chen's battle was very important. He wanted to stop Xiao Chen, but he could not do anything about it since Xiao Chen insisted on fighting. The trial of the ancient desolate tower was a major event in the entire ancient desolate land. Countless people had already gathered outside the Tianwu Plaza. However, the people of the Heavenly Extermination Union kept them outside. Now that the trial was over, in addition to the Evil Moon Pavilion's interference, the order of the place became chaotic. Crowds of martial artists swarmed into the plaza. Xiao Chen stomped hard on the ground and his figure flashed, landing on the arena in an instant. Is that person in white the one who reached the 8th level this year? Why is he only a medial grade martial king? Are you sure? That should be right. I saw him floating out from the outside. Cultivation is not the only thing that determines a cultivator. However, this Xie Ziwen is really vicious. The other party just came out of the ancient desolate tower. If he defeats this person, he will snatch away all of this person's luck. If he didn't have the confidence, he would never dare to challenge Xiao Chen at this time. This is going to be interesting. The crowd below discussed with each other. Some of the more discerning cultivators guessed Xie Ziwen's purpose in challenging Xiao Chen. The sun hung high in the sky, and the sunlight shone down. Up in the arena, Xie Ziwen looked at Xiao Chen and smiled coldly. You really dare to come up? Those who hurt my Xie Ziwen's people have never had a good ending. I, Xie Ziwen, will be taking your luck today. Xiao. Right after Xie Ziwen spoke, he brought out his state of fire to its limits. This time, he would not be careless, he would not hold anything back. Xiao Chen sent out a palm strike, and a fierce sea of fire spread around him. It rose and fell like waves, layering over each other. The heat wave spread into the surroundings, and the temperature instantly soared. Shi Hailong's expression changed. He said, this fellow indeed came prepared. He has comprehended his state of fire to its limits. Ka Xie. Xiao Chen's expression did not change. He placed his right hand on the hilt of the lunar shadow saber and drew it at lightning speed. Boom! Boom! Thunder roared as Xiao Chen leaped into the air. A purple saber light appeared, and he hacked down. This was the saber strike that Emperor Wu Bai Shuehe executed back then. As Xie Ziwen flew, he saw Xiao Chen's saber strike. A disdainful smile appeared on his face. You are full of openings, and you are not embarrassed to call yourself the white-robed bladesman. Get down here. Boom! A sea of fire surged around Xie Ziwen's body, and his palm gave off a bright red light. A huge flame rippled and formed a jade-like palm. As the flames surged, a huge flaming palm formed and pressed toward Xiao Chen's open chest. Xiao Chen recalled the charm of Bai Shuehe's saber strike. He tilted his body slightly, and the huge flaming palm brushed past his shoulder. Xiao Chen twisted his wrist, and the saber moved from top to bottom, naturally thrusting forward. Pu Ci. Xiao Chen landed on the ground, and the tip of his saber stabbed in by 1 centimeter. It happened to be stuck in Xie Ziwen's chest, and blood immediately spurted out. Everything was going according to plan, there were no deviations. Xiao Chen looked at Xie Ziwen calmly and said, "You have lost." The disdainful smile on Xie Ziwen's face did not even have time to disappear. Just as he sent out a palm strike, Xiao Chen stabbed into his chest, a vital spot. As long as Xiao Chen used a little more force, Xie Ziwen would die. What's going on? How did I lose? That move was clearly full of openings. At most, the saber light was a little strange. How did he manage to stab me? Xie Ziwen showed a stunned expression. He could not understand what was going on no matter how he thought about it. Xie Ziwen was not the only one who could not understand. The thousands of cultivators watching felt it was strange as well. Only one move, and Xiao Chen actually defeated Xie Ziwen. Everyone still remembered the fight between Xiao Chen and Xie Ziwen 7 days ago. Xie Ziwen had only managed to defeat Xiao Chen after 100 moves because of his carelessness. However, 7 days later, Xiao Chen used only one move to defeat Xie Ziwen. The entire place fell silent. Everyone stared at Xiao Chen in shock. Zuomo revealed a contemplative expression. He said indifferently, that saber strike has its own uses. Ding Fengqiu said softly, I can only tell now. It seems to be full of openings, but in reality, there are no openings at all. However, there are still some flaws in the transitions, as it is a move that he just learned. Jiang Zimo said with some envy, I really wonder what benefits he obtained in the upper floors for him to have such strength. Shi Hailong was slightly stunned before he reacted. He smiled and said, no wonder this fellow is so confident. I was overthinking things. I did not lose. It is impossible for me to lose. Suddenly, something strange happened. Xie Ziwen grabbed Xiao Chen's saber and retreated at lightning speed. Then, he took out a medicinal pill and popped it into his mouth. Boom! The medicinal pill melted in his mouth, and Xie Ziwen's aura suddenly soared. His clothes and hair fluttered without any wind, and a strong wind howled behind him. Bang! Xie Ziwen ignored the injury on his chest and sent out another palm strike. A huge flaming palm the size of a small mountain pressed towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. Unexpectedly, he felt a dangerous aura from this huge flaming palm. Xiao Chen did not block blindly. He pushed off the ground and retreated. Paw! As the giant flaming palm fell, a deep pit formed by the palm print immediately appeared on the arena. Countless stone slabs exploded and shot in all directions. Shi Hailong said sullenly, half-step martial monarch. What kind of medicinal pill is that? How did Xie Ziwen become a half-step martial monarch in such a short time? The situation suddenly changed. Xie Ziwen, who had consumed a mysterious medicinal pill, suddenly became a half-step martial monarch. When Xie Ziwen waved his palm, a berserk essence poured out. He launched a chain of attacks without pause, beating down on Xiao Chen until he could not retaliate. Bang! 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 Explosions rang out incessantly. Under Xie Ziwen's berserk attacks, the sturdy arena shattered, turning it into rubble. He is very strong. However, he forcefully advanced to half-step martial monarch. His aura is not stable. While his energy looks berserk, it is not very condensed. Let's wait for a while, Xiao Chen analyzed calmly. Then, his figure flashed and flew towards another arena. Hu Qi! Xie Ziwen quickly followed, not letting up. The two's figures flashed and flew to another arena. Xie Ziwen laughed and said, Xiao Chen, aren't you very powerful? Why aren't you attacking? Let's see where you can run to. 1,000 flaming palms. Xie Ziwen took a deep breath and released a resplendent red light from his right palm. It was as bright as day, like a small sun. Boom! Xie Ziwen spat out a mouthful of turbid qi and shouted. Then, he sent out a palm as bright as the sun. Suddenly, a flaming palm shot out like a meteor shower at Xiao Chen. With such a large area of effect attack, there was no chance for Xiao Chen to dodge. Xiao Chen raised his head and looked at the flaming rain falling from the sky. He muttered, it is time to end this. A half-step martial monarch is only a so-so. The purple qi whirlpool in Xiao Chen's body spun quickly. A surging, pure lightning-attributed essence circulated in his meridians and poured into his saber. Xiao Chen condensed the surging energy to its limits and infused it into his saber, not letting any of it leak out. The pitch-black saber immediately flickered with a purple light. It looked very simple and plain. It was a stark contrast to Xie Ziyuan's berserk energy. Break! Xiao Chen's expression suddenly turned grave. He shouted and swung his saber forward. The flaming palms flying at him immediately shattered into countless sparks. Break! 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 Facing the raining flaming palms, Xiao Chen did not move at all. It was like his feet were rooted to the ground as he stabbed his saber at the flaming palms flying at him. Without exception, all the flaming palms that Xiao Chen stabbed shattered into countless sparks and disappeared into the air. Xiao Chen seemed relaxed and did not feel any pressure. It was like the flaming palms were not filled with berserk essence attacks but just tiles. Bang! 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 When the other flaming palms landed on the ground, they blasted the arena into smithereens. Dust filled the air and flew everywhere. This made it clear that while these flaming palms looked small and messy, their might was not weak at all. They were definitely not tiles. However, the white-robed bladesman with a calm expression easily shattered the flaming palms flying at him amid the flaming light filling the sky. Such a huge contrast was hard to believe. Were these flaming palms really that strong? It was somewhat contradictory. When Shi Hailong saw this scene, he heaved a sigh of relief. Given this, Xiao Chen had at least a 50% chance of victory. Xie Ziyuan's chest tightened. He had consumed the rank 7 blood essence pill, which could raise his cultivation by 50% for the time it takes for a joss stick to burn. Chapter 491. The so-called half-step martial monarch referred to cultivating essence to the limit of a martial king. Comprehending states to the limit of a martial king. Cultivating cultivation techniques to the limit of a martial king. Cultivating martial techniques to the limit of a martial king. After reaching the limit in all aspects, there would be a qualitative change. There would be a huge difference from a martial king. After that, once one's mental energy cultivation reached a certain level, they would be able to successfully advance to martial monarch. Xie Ziyuan's talent was outstanding. His comprehension of states, cultivation techniques, and martial techniques could be said to have reached the limit of a martial king. Only his cultivation was slightly weaker. However, after Xie Ziyuan consumed the blood essence pill, he made up for this difference. Within the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he could be considered a true half-step martial monarch. Xie Ziyuan had not expected Xiao Chen to be able to break his attack so easily. He did not feel any pressure at all. Aside from the 1-meter radius of Xiao Chen's feet, the arena was already in tatters. The rest of the arena was already filled with holes. It was a complete mess. 1,000 flaming flames, gather! Xie Ziyuan shouted, and the countless flaming palms in the air merged together. They formed an incredibly huge flaming palm with clear lines and a beautiful luster. The palm was like a tall wall. It fell down at an incredible speed. Its shadow instantly covered Xiao Chen. I don't believe that I cannot suppress you to death. Xie Ziyuan formed hand seals continuously. A sea of fire surged around him. The might of the descending flaming palm continued to increase. Boom! A bolt of purple lightning, like a spear, pierced through his palm and shot out. At the end of the lightning. At the end of the electric light was an ethereal figure holding a long saber. He was dressed in white with a blue bandana on his head. He had a delicate face and a delicate face. Bang! His palm landed solidly on the ground. Without any pause, the arena silently sank more than 10 meters into the ground. The might of the palm was so great that it flabbergasted everyone. The surrounding crowd found it hard to imagine how the white figure in the air managed to break the palm with just one saber strike. Xiao! Xiao Chen pointed his saber at the sky. The sharpness in his heart that had never faded surged out from his saber and into the clouds. Dang! 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 The 6-foot-long saber trembled continuously as an extremely sharp saber intent spread throughout the entire Tianwu Plaza. Among the thousands of spectating cultivators, the weapons of some bladesmen could not help but shake intensely, as if they would fall out of their hands at any moment. When Jiang Zimo, Zuemo, Ding Fengqiu, and the other cultivators of the same generation as Xiao Chen saw this scene, they exchanged glances with each other with strange expressions. After a while, Zuemo said with some uncertainty, "It should be saber intent." "Ding Fengqiu, you say it. You are a swordsman and have comprehended sword intent. You have more say than us." As Ding Fengqiu looked at the white figure in the sky, he felt very bitter in his heart. From today onwards, he, Ding Fengqiu, would have to look at this person forever. Ding Fengqiu sighed softly and nodded heavily. "Stop guessing. That is saber intent. Actually, I should have thought of it long ago." After he cleared the hurdle of desire, his mental state reached consummation. It is only natural for the qi in his heart to turn into saber intent. Although Ding Fengqiu said that, he had not expected Xiao Chen to comprehend saber intent so early. Based on his estimations, Xiao Chen would need at least 2 years to comprehend saber intent. When the others received Ding Fengqiu's confirmation, they all remained silent. Saber intent was different from sword intent, it was harder to comprehend. If one could comprehend saber intent before the age of 30, one could become a powerful bladesman. Xiao Chen had comprehended saber intent before the age of 20. He was already comparable to the ancient geniuses of the saber Dao. The gap between them had widened once again. Shi Hailong's mouth gaped open for a long time before he closed it again. All the worry on his aged face vanished like smoke. He beamed with joy and said, "Ha ha ha. Gong Haoyu, you are seeking your own humiliation this time. Let's see how you are going to account to your pavilion master when you return." Xie Ziwen's second martial uncle, Gong Haoyu, had a sullen expression. He struggled to say, "Don't laugh too early. It is just saber intent. It is not sufficient for a half-step martial monarch." Xiao. The qi in Xiao Chen's heart surged out. His entire body felt very carefree. With the completion of saber intent, the sharpness in my heart will never be extinguished. From this moment on, Xiao Chen could truly be called a bladesman. Xie Ziwen's expression changed unpredictably. As he looked at Xiao Chen, whose white robes fluttered in the air and whose saber intent dominated the entire place, despair welled up in his heart. "It can't be. It can't be. After I became famous, aside from the peak people of the great Jin nation, no one can defeat me. Xiao Chen is just a cultivator from the great Qin nation. It is impossible for him to defeat me. I want to win. I want to win. I want to snatch away his luck and become a peak genius of the great Jin nation." Xie Ziwen roared ferociously, and veins bulged on his forehead. He shouted, "Dance of 10,000 flames." Xie Ziwen formed hand seals, and the sea of fire around him surged up into the sky. The temperature of the entire plaza soared. The scorching air forced everyone to circulate their cultivation energies to disperse the heat wave. "Rise!" Xie Ziwen pointed at Xiao Chen. Sweat dripped down his face. This move had overdrawn all his essence, causing his face to pale. If he had not consumed the blood essence pill, he would not have been able to execute this move with his essence. Qi! 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 Thousands of arm-thick flame ribbons surrounded Xiao Chen from the sea of fire, trying to trap him. Xiao Chen's gaze turned cold, it was as sharp as a saber. He grasped his saber tightly with his right hand and swung it gently. With the support of the sharp saber intent, the saber light became extremely resplendent. Dang! 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 The bladesmen in the plaza could no longer hold on to their weapons. They all flew into the air. Eternal saber intent, inextinguishable sharpness. Using the saber intent's sharpness, Xiao Chen did not advance. Instead, he retreated. This was the first time he brought out his full strength after advancing to peak medial grade martial king. Ka Xie. As the saber gleams swept past, the flame ribbons were sliced apart like noodles by the saber gleam. As the flame ribbons flew through the air, they gave off a dazzling red light. They looked very beautiful. Xiao Chen continued to descend like a hot knife through butter. Soon, he arrived before Xie Ziwen. Xiao Chen chopped all the flame ribbons into pieces. This upgraded version of the Dance of 1,000 Flames, which had given Xiao Chen a lot of trouble in the past, was broken like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. Xiao! A sharp saber intent trembled in the arena. The mysterious phenomenon of flames that Xie Ziwen created using his state instantly scattered. Xie Ziwen's final move was only executed halfway before it was destroyed by such a tyrannical move. You lost. As the saber rested on Xie Ziwen's neck, Xiao Chen's expression remained calm as he repeated what he said earlier. You lost. Xiao Chen's voice was as calm as ever, there were no fluctuations at all. The saber rested on Xie Ziwen's neck. With just one move, he could end Xie Ziwen's life. The entire place fell silent, no one said anything. As they looked at Xiao Chen, no one believed that he had relied on luck to clear the 8th floor of the ancient desolate tower. Xiao Chen tyrannically ended the mysterious phenomenon of the Sea of Flames. Xie Ziwen's pale face, which had overdrawn on his essence, became even paler. Pu Ci. Xie Ziwen vomited a large mouthful of blood. His overwhelming aura deflated like a balloon. After the time it took for a joss stick to burn was up, the medicinal energy of the blood essence pill completely dissipated. At this moment, the side effects of the blood essence pill appeared. Xie Ziwen's eyes were listless, he felt completely drained of energy. His cultivation fell until he was a medial-grade martial king. It would be impossible for Xie Ziwen to recover to his peak state within 3 months. This was the cruel side effect of the blood essence pill. Xiao! The Evil Moon Pavilion's Gong Haoyu rushed over at lightning speed and grabbed Xie Ziwen. He looked coldly and emotionlessly at Xiao Chen and said, "Very good. You have thoroughly offended the Evil Moon Pavilion. I hope you will never step into the Great Jin Nation again. Otherwise, no one will be able to protect you." After Gong Haoyu said this, he grabbed Xie Ziwen with one hand and soared into the sky, heading for the exit of the Tianwu Plaza. Boom! However, just as Gong Haoyu took a step into the air, he discovered an extremely sharp saber chi heading for his head at lightning speed. The saber chi contained an inextinguishable sharp saber intent. With the support of that saber intent, the might of the state of thunder in the saber chi more than doubled. Gong Haoyu's expression turned cold as he smashed his palm against the saber chi. Electricity flickered and exploded in the air. The saber light turned into a resplendent martial technique, illuminating the sky. This saber chi forced Gong Haoyu to descend. "Xiao Chen, what are you trying to do?" Gong Haoyu shouted angrily after he landed. Xiao Chen pointed his saber at Gong Haoyu. His calm face did not change as he said indifferently, "Did I say you could leave?" The 6-meter-long saber trembled continuously. A sharp saber intent spread out continuously. The saber intent pulled the weapons up into the air, causing them to tremble rapidly. When the thousands of cultivators in the Tianwu Plaza heard Xiao Chen's words, their brains short-circuited. What was Xiao Chen trying to do? Gong Haoyu was an outer sect elder of the Evil Moon Pavilion. He had already become a half-step martial monarch many years ago. Although Gong Haoyu's talent was limited and he would never be able to advance to martial monarch, he was still a bona fide half-step martial monarch. Gong Haoyu was not like Xie Ziwen, who relied on medicinal pills to forcefully advance to half-step martial monarch. There was a fundamental difference between the two. Although Xiao Chen's victory over Xie Ziwen was shocking, it was not impossible for a genius who had cleared the 8th floor. However, Xiao Chen was too crazy to make a move against Gong Haoyu. After all, Xiao Chen was still too young. He had not matured yet. There was still a gap between him and the experts of the older generation. Gong Haoyu remained expressionless as he gently tossed Xie Ziwen's body off the platform. Then, Xie Ziwen slowly landed on the ground. "It looks like I am really getting old. Youths are already so arrogant. Today, you attacked me first. Even if I kill you, the Heavenly Extermination Union will not be able to say anything." Xiao Chen smiled coldly to himself. This person is really shameless. If he had not threatened me, why would I make a move against him? Since they had already shed all pretense of cordiality, there was no need to drag this grudge to the great Jin nation to settle. Xiao Chen was not a person who waited 10 years for revenge. If there was an opportunity, Xiao Chen would deal with the other party now. There was no need to wait until they reached the other party's territory. Chapter 492. When Xiao Chen fought Xie Ziwen, he had only used 60% of his strength. There were strong half-step martial monarchs and weak half-step martial monarchs. This Gong Haoyu was one of the weaker half-step martial monarchs. With Xiao Chen's current strength, he had at least a 50% chance of victory. Why not give it a try? Elder Shi, should we make a move to stop him? A Heavenly Extermination Union elder beside Shi Hailong asked worriedly. Shi Hailong thought for a while and remembered what Xiao Chen said to him before he went up. He said, "Let's wait and see." Xiao Chen should be free to make his own decisions. He will not fight a battle he is not confident of winning. Die! Gong Haoyu shouted, and the aura of a half-step martial monarch spread out. His clothes and hair fluttered without any wind. He took 7 steps in the air and sent a palm strike at Xiao Chen. This palm strike was not fancy at all, it relied on the advantage of his cultivation. He wanted to clash head-on with Xiao Chen, giving him a show of strength from the start. Xiao Chen switched from holding his saber with one hand to holding it with both hands. When he faced the palm strike filled with surging essence, he did not retreat. Instead, he advanced and welcomed it head-on. Bang! The palm wind and the saber light clashed in the air, giving off a startling explosion. Ripples appeared in space and spread out in all directions. Gong Haoyu took 5 steps back. Xiao Chen was slightly weaker, taking 7 steps back. Such an outcome was far from what Gong Haoyu had hoped for. Gong Haoyu originally thought that this palm strike would be sufficient to suppress Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen's powerful counterattack told him that this was impossible. 5 peaks soaring. Gong Haoyu's expression turned grave. He no longer dared to underestimate Xiao Chen. So, he executed the martial technique he was most proficient in. Gong Haoyu soared into the air and 5 mountains of different styles appeared. When they linked together, they formed a meandering mountain range pressing down on Xiao Chen. Wukuei shakes the heavens. Without any hesitation, Xiao Chen chose to clash head-on. The divine Wukuei tree appeared and carried a strong electric force as it smashed into the 5 lone peaks flying at him. Boom! The lone peak broke apart and lightning bolts raged in the sky. In the face of this powerful attack, the world immediately lost its color. War-turning mysterious peak. Gong Haoyu roared furiously. As he waved his palms, the shattered 5 mountains and rivers suddenly gathered together, forming a strange mountain peak. The mountain turned upside down, and its sharp tip pierced towards Xiao Chen like a sharp blade. Wukuei breaks the heavens. Xiao Chen's figure spun a few times in the air, dissipating the force of the earlier strike. Then, he pointed his saber forward. Lightning flashed in the sky, and a bright beam of light quickly elongated on the blade. The top of the beam of light instantly broke through the mountainside of the strange peak. Wukuei shakes. The entire mountain peak was immediately split into 2 halves, turning into countless mountain rocks that fell to the ground with a crashing sound. This phenomenon was condensed from the peak of the concept of Earth. It was like a real mountain. After the mountain shattered, it fell to the ground, creating deep pits in the Tianwu Plaza. When the spectating cultivators saw the falling rubble, they quickly made their moves to dodge it. The 2 people in the air did not have any intention of stopping. Gong Haoyu continuously sent out killing moves, one after another. The 2 people in the air did not have any intention of stopping. Gong Haoyu continuously used killer moves, one after another. However, Xiao Chen dealt with the attacks as they came. He would break one move after another. If he could not break it, he would do his best to block. He did not fear clashing head-on. The crowd was astonished. Originally, they thought it would be a one-sided battle. Who knew that it would be so intense? Xiao Chen did not seem to be at a disadvantage at all. Everyone was astonished. Originally, they thought that it would be a one-sided battle. Who knew that it would be so intense? Xiao Chen was not at a disadvantage at all. The two exchanged another move. Xiao Chen relied on the support of his saber intent to force back Gong Haoyu's overwhelming aura. The two exchanged another move. Xiao Chen relied on the support of his saber intent to force back Gong Haoyu's overwhelming aura. Xiao Chen stood in the air. His white robes fluttered in the wind as he looked at Gong Haoyu coldly. His saber flickered with an electric light. Gong Haoyu was astonished. He had not expected Xiao Chen to be so difficult to deal with. He had used all his killing moves, not holding back at all. However, he still could not do anything to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's originally imposing morale slowly declined, no longer as sharp as it was at the start. Xiao Chen tore off the blue strip of cloth on his forehead, and the red mark on his forehead started to flicker. He unleashed the state of massacre and merged it with the state of thunder. The saber started to flicker with a strange, alternating purple and red light. After the blue strip of cloth was removed, Xiao Chen's originally delicate face gained a strange air. Ka Xie. The saber light flashed, and an intense state of massacre surged out. The berserk lightning contained a sharp killing intent, easily breaking Gong Haoyu's palm wind. Xiao! Xiao Chen turned into a beam of purple light, no longer defending passively. Instead, he launched a sharp attack at Gong Haoyu. Taking advantage of the fact that Gong Haoyu's aura was exhausted, Xiao Chen launched a frenzied counterattack. Boom! 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 After merging the state of massacre, Xiao Chen brought out all his strength. Purple and red lights filled the air, forcing Gong Haoyu to retreat step by step. Retreat! 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 Gong Haoyu clenched his teeth, and his gaze turned sharp. He tried to rally his aura and charge back several times. However, Xiao Chen retaliated with even more ferocious attacks. Gong Haoyu retreated again and again in the air. His aura was completely exhausted, and he showed signs of defeat. Little bastard, go to hell! Gong Haoyu shouted. He no longer had the air of an expert as he launched a frenzied counterattack. Unfortunately, I won't die. Xiao Chen replied calmly. Then, he executed listening to the sword and communicating with it. His saber turned into a heaven-ranked spirit weapon again. Xiao Chen's counterattack increased in might once again. It swept out and knocked Gong Haoyu back, causing him to vomit blood. Then, he crashed into the Tianwu Emperor's statue. Pu Ci. The Tianwu Emperor's statue had a strange power protecting it. The rebound caused the severely injured Gong Haoyu to vomit another mouthful of blood. His figure was now in a sorry state. Ka Xie. In the air, Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and tied the blue strip of cloth back to his forehead. The state of massacre immediately vanished, and his charming face regained its elegance. He glanced coldly at the severely injured Gong Haoyu before ignoring him. Hua la la. Whoosh! 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 The weapons that Xiao Chen's saber intent had pulled into the air fell to the ground as he withdrew his hand. When the severely injured Gong Haoyu saw Xiao Chen sheath his saber, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He pushed off the Tianwu Emperor's statue, and his figure flashed as he launched a sneak attack at Xiao Chen. You are seeking death. Xiao Chen snorted coldly. The blue dragon tattoo on his right hand moved quickly. He instantly executed the dragon claw fist, forming a claw with his right hand. Roar! A resonant dragon roar resounded. A huge azure dragon claw appeared on Xiao Chen's right claw. The dragon claw opened into a palm and smashed down ferociously. Paw! This palm pressed the sneak-attacking Gong Haoyu to the ground. He could not resist at all. His face was on the ground, and his body was deeply embedded in it. The two from the Evil Moon Pavilion charged over in a tyrannical manner. Xie Ziwen's extremely arrogant voice seemed to echo in everyone's ears, Xiao Chen, get out here. However, in less than 2 hours, this old man and young man were both defeated by Xiao Chen's saber. One was beaten into a weakened state and his cultivation regressed. The other was in an even more miserable state. He was directly embedded in the ground. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. The two came in a domineering manner, yet they ended up in such a state. This made everyone sigh. As the crowd looked at the white figure slowly descending and saw his calm expression, they all thought of one word: tyrannical. Although Xiao Chen did not say any domineering words, nor did he have that kind of tyrannical aura, his actions truly made people feel a domineering aura that came from his bones. This fellow is really like the Thunder King of the past. If you are not as good as me, then don't threaten me. Who cares if you are a half-step martial monarch or have a super sect behind you? I will just fight you first. The 4 nations might have really produced a person who can rival the peak geniuses of the great Jin nation. I really look forward to the next 5-nation youth competition. I wonder how far he can go. It looks like the reputation of the white-robed bladesman is well deserved. This is really the era of the young. The experts of the older generation need to recognize their current situation. If they still try to put on airs and flaunt their seniority, they will not have a good time. Indeed. Now is the budding age of geniuses. It is best to be careful and not become a whetstone for those geniuses. Discussions broke out. Some people praised Xiao Chen's strength. There were also people of the older generation who sighed softly. When they saw Gong Haoyu's predicament, they felt sorrowful. There would always be geniuses in every generation. Each wave would be higher than the one before. However, this wave had arrived too quickly. In an unremarkable corner of the crowd, there was a person wearing a black cloak and a hood. There was a sinister scar on his face under the shadow. His entire person exuded an uncomfortable aura, and the surrounding people unconsciously distanced themselves from him. He was a cultivator with sharp eyes. A cultivator with sharp eyes recognized this person as someone from the dark church and took a few steps back, not wanting to form any sort of connection with him. The scarred man muttered in a soft voice, "I never found an opportunity to make a move. Now, he has actually grown to such a level. However, his cultivation is still lacking." After the scarred man spoke, he gave Xiao Chen another deep look before leaving quietly. Xiao Chen walked over to Shi Hailong and performed a cupped fist salute. He said apologetically, "Sorry, Senior Shi. I have caused trouble for the Heavenly Extermination Union." Shi Hailong had a wide smile on his face. He looked like he was bathed in the spring breeze. He waved his hand and said, "What are you saying? Just remember what I told you in the past. The Evil Moon Pavilion will not be able to cause any trouble in the ancient desolate land. Work hard and don't waste your luck. In the future, you will know how strong the luck of the ancient desolate tower is." Xiao Chen thanked Shi Hailong softly. Just as he was about to take his leave, a few strong auras quickly flew towards the Tianwu Plaza. Who? When these people arrived, a strong aura spread out. The air was compressed above everyone's heads and started spinning. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. This aura was the same as the martial monarchs he had seen before. Furthermore, they were all locked onto him. Oh no, the Evil Moon Pavilion's hidden pawns in Desolate City have all appeared. The expression of an elder beside Shi Hailong changed. On the surface, the Heavenly Extermination Union did not allow any of the great Jin nation's powers to enter Desolate City. However, as one of the 2 centers of the Tianwu continent, it was impossible for those super sects to not have any pawns. Otherwise, they would not know if something big happened. Chapter 493. Shi Hailong's face sank. However, there was no panic in his eyes. He smiled coldly and said, "Good timing. We can pull them all out by the roots." Xiao! 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 3 figures appeared in the center of the plaza. Their auras surged, and everyone immediately felt a strong pressure. The leader wore gorgeous blue robes and a jadeite thumb ring on his right hand. He looked exactly like a merchant. It looked like this person had rushed over in a hurry. He did not even have time to remove his usual disguise. However, when this person saw Gong Haoyu in the ground and the extremely weak Xie Ziwen, he sighed to himself. In the end, he was too late. Chi! The blue-robed cultivator raised his hand and pulled Gong Haoyu out of the ground. Then, he checked Gong Haoyu's pulse. He was still breathing. The blue-robed cultivator casually handed Gong Haoyu over to the person beside him. Then, he stared at Xiao Chen. He wanted to say something but did not say anything in the end. The blue-robed cultivator instructed another person to bring Xie Ziwen and prepared to take his leave. Shi Hailong smiled coldly but did not say anything. He looked at the three with a playful gaze. Bang! The three people who had soared into the air crashed into a formless wall. The huge rebound knocked them back to the ground in a sorry state. Bang! 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 The three tried again from other places. In the end, they were all knocked back in a sorry state. No matter how much essence they used, it was useless. On the contrary, the more essence chi he used, the more serious the injuries he suffered. The expressions of the three changed greatly. They looked around but could not sense who attacked them. They did not even know where their opponents were. They overestimate themselves. Coming to the Heavenly Extermination Union to behave atrociously, one half-step martial monarch is enough. Now, 3 martial monarchs came. The trial of the ancient desolate land is such a big event. The 5 giants of the Heavenly Extermination Union will definitely be here. However, it is not convenient for them to show their faces due to their status. If they do not show their strength, these people will think that they can come and go as they please in the Heavenly Extermination Union with just a few martial monarchs. The spectating cultivators also revealed expressions of interest, as if they were watching a good show. The leading blue-robed cultivator shouted to the sky, "Senior, please be merciful. From today onwards, the Evil Moon Pavilion will not take half a step into Desolate City." A cold snort came from 7,000 meters up in the sky. Everyone could vaguely see 5 figures hidden in the boundless white clouds. Behind him, the wind and clouds surged, extending for hundreds of kilometers as they devoured and spat out a boundless grand scene. Scram! I will only say this once. My Heavenly Extermination Union will protect Xiao Chen. We will not care about the fights between the youths. If he does not follow the rules and sends out the people of the older generation, the genius of the Evil Moon Pavilion can forget about leaving the great Jin nation. His voice was not loud, but it was clearly heard by the thousands of people present. It was as if he was speaking right beside their ears. Pucci. However, this voice was like a clap of thunder exploding in the ears of the Evil Moon Pavilion's people. Every word was like a clap of thunder. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, blood leaked out of the corners of the Evil Moon Pavilion's people's mouths, but they did not show any dissatisfaction. After they respectfully thanked him, they quickly flew away. It is a good thing for the youths to be sharp. However, you must not be impetuous. Now that you have become famous at such a young age, don't let your fame stop you. Otherwise, not to mention becoming the second Thunder King, it will be hard for you to reach a higher level in the martial Dao. Take care of yourself. That melodious voice rang out in Xiao Chen's mind. After giving him a warning, it cut off the connection with Xiao Chen. The 5 figures completely disappeared into the clouds, vanishing without a trace. As Xiao Chen watched the person who spoke, he felt that the figure was somewhat familiar. It was like he had seen it somewhere before. Elder Shi, who is the mysterious person who told the Evil Moon Pavilion's people to retreat? Xiao Chen asked Shi Hailong as he turned around. Shi Hailong smiled gently and said, "It is this generation's Heavenly Extermination Union's alliance chief." Brat, you are really lucky. I have never seen the alliance chief openly protect someone before. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. He was now 70 to 80% sure of the white-robed person's identity. This was a banquet that never ended. The outstanding talents of the 4 nations had gathered because of the ancient desolate tower. Now, it was time for them to part. Xiao Chen, there is still 1.5 years to the five-nation youth competition. We will meet again at that time to finish that unfinished battle. Zuomo walked forward and performed a cupped fist salute to Xiao Chen. Even though he had seen Xiao Chen's strength, it did not diminish his fighting spirit. Only with a goal would he have more motivation. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "Definitely. Let's meet at the Great Jin Nation's Wind Cloud platform." The people who were on good terms with Xiao Chen all came forward to congratulate him. Xiao Chen did not show any reservation or arrogance. He treated them politely, performing cupped fist salutes in return. "If others respect me, I will respect them tenfold." This was how Xiao Chen did things. He would not change because of external factors. A month had passed since the trial of the ancient desolate tower. Xiao Chen had bravely made it to the 8th floor of the ancient desolate tower. Then, he defeated the second disciple of the Evil Moon Pavilion's Pavilion Master and the Evil Moon Pavilion's outer sect elder. This news spread like wildfire in Desolate City. Desolate City had existed for 10,000 years. There had never been a lack of legends. However, in the past 1,000 years, Desolate City had been quiet for too long. There had rarely been such an uproar. For the past month, everyone discussed this matter in their leisure time. The white-robed bladesman who came from the Great Qin nation and comprehended saber intent at the age of 19. Many busybodies dug up this matter. The heavenly saber pavilion's internal strife. Even the proud people of the Holy Land suffered a crushing defeat at his hands. Xiao Chen toyed with the various half-step martial monarchs in the demon battlefield. He openly snatched away the peak demon core of a few half-step martial monarchs. He won 100 consecutive victories in the wrestling ring, causing Gao Yangyu, who dominated the southern islands, to go bankrupt and lose his reputation. All these things made people sigh. This person's experiences were a legend. Many people waited in anticipation to see how far Xiao Chen could go in the Wind Cloud Arena after 1.5 years. The Great Jin Nation had monopolized the top 10 for many years. Could Xiao Chen represent the four nations and break this stalemate, entering the top 10? There were even more people who compared Xiao Chen to the Great Qin nation from thousands of years ago. This resulted in intense disputes. The main character of this storm, Xiao Chen, had been so frustrated in the past month that he felt like his head was about to explode. Xiao Chen finally knew that Desolate City lived up to its reputation as one of the two great centers of the continent. In the past month, countless sects of the four nations had extended olive branches to Xiao Chen, inviting him to join their sections. The benefits they offered kept increasing, flabbergasting Xiao Chen. They gave him as many thousand-year-old spirit herbs as he wanted, an unlimited supply of medial-grade spirit stones, and 100 superior-grade spirit stones every month. Xiao Chen remained calm. He knew what he wanted, so he rejected all of them. He just wanted to find a place to cultivate. However, after Xiao Chen went to several courtyards, people would find him immediately. They would welcome him with smiles and politeness. He could not lose his temper and could only reject them. In the end, Xiao Chen had no choice but to use the shape-shifting spell to silently find a quiet courtyard. Only then did he calm down. Just like that, half a month passed. Xiao Chen spent the day comprehending Bai Shuihe's saber strike and the saber intent that he suddenly comprehended. Saber intent was hard to form. Xiao Chen knew this principle as well. However, when he fought with the shoes that day, he was not able to comprehend it. However, when Xiao Chen fought with the shoes, his saber intent seemed to flow naturally. With a thought, the qi in his heart gushed out and condensed into an inextinguishable saber intent. At night, Xiao Chen spent all his time stabilizing his cultivation. His cultivation had increased in one day. Although the mysterious light of the ancient desolate tower did not have any side effects, his foundation was still unstable. He needed to solidify it. Otherwise, he would not be able to endure a drawn-out battle. On this particular night, the moon hung high in the sky, looking as bright as a silver plate. Motes of light fell to the ground, illuminating the courtyard in silence. In the bedroom, Xiao Chen sat cross-legged on a prayer mat. He held 2 medial-grade spirit stones in each hand as he quickly circulated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation's 6th layer. The spiritual energy in the 4 spirit stones flowed continuously into the Qi whirlpool in Xiao Chen's dantian. They turned into drops of purple liquid and dripped down. After 1 hour, the medial-grade spirit stones lost all their luster, turning into 4 useless stones. Xiao Chen calmly tossed away the 4 medial-grade spirit stones. With a flip of his palm, 4 more medial-grade spirit stones appeared in his universe ring. 4 medial-grade spirit stones for 1 hour. That was 8 medial-grade spirit stones for 2 hours. That was 48 medial-grade spirit stones for 12 hours in 1 night. If others found out about such a huge expenditure, it would be hard to imagine. Not to mention the fact that they did not have so many spirit stones to squander. Even if they did, they would not dare to expend so much. Even if they could, they would not dare to expend so much energy. The capacity of their dantian was on a completely different level from Xiao Chen. They would not be able to endure such a large expenditure. This was the benefit of a heaven-ranked cultivation technique. It was something that people loved and hated at the same time. See. A trace of heat came from the room. Xiao Chen's body trembled slightly as he slowly withdrew his consciousness from cultivating. It was currently close to midnight. This was the coldest time of the day. How could there be heat? Suddenly, Xiao Chen opened his eyes and spread out his spiritual sense in a circular fashion. He discovered that the rooms connected to the bedroom were all burning. This fire was not ordinary. With a flip of his palm, Xiao Chen broke through the roof with his lunar shadow saber and flew out. A person with a sword on his back sat on the wall of the courtyard. He looked at Xiao Chen with a relaxed expression. Xiao. When Xiao Chen landed on the wall, he looked suspiciously at the person who started the fire. Chu Chaoyun, what is the meaning of this? Nothing, I'm just calling you out. Xiao Chen was speechless. He said, is that how you call people out? The moment you arrive, you burn down my house. A golden light flashed in Chu Chaoyun's eyes. The blazing flames were immediately extinguished, turning into motes of golden light that entered his eyes. Convenient. I don't even need to open my mouth. I just need to look at you. You feel the same way, right? A house was not worth Xiao Chen hurting himself. So, he did not want to linger on this topic. Xiao Chen asked directly, why are you looking for me? Paw. Chu Chaoyun placed his palm on the wall of the courtyard and gently patted it. Then, he moved back and stood on the door. Do you know that you are about to die? Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, do you think I will believe you? Chu Chaoyun said, not everyone is happy to see you rise up. The people you offended might not be able to do anything to you. However, not every faction will fear the Heavenly Extermination Union. Remember what I told you before. In this world, the title of genius is useless. The one who laughs last will be the final winner. The last one is king. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.